Hello everyone, Xeno What If here. Those that are new to the channel, subscribe to see some of the content I made. Leave a comment down below for any ideas. Listen here YouTube. I do not own anything and this is not a scam. Link down in the description of the fanfiction of this, What If. To bring in part 6 of What If the Gate appeared in G.I. Joe. Chapter 10, Flame Dragon and New Allies, Part 1. In the end, 3rd Recon Platoon only entered the forest the following morning. Just as Williams and Puller had warned, the flames quickly engulfed the forest within a matter of minutes, effectively making it impossible for the recon team to enter and search for the village said to reside within it. For the rest of the night, 3rd Recon and Williams in particular monitored the flames and waited to see just when it would have been safe for them to enter. It was only when rain began to fall just before dawn and extinguished the flames, did 3rd Recon finally enter the forest. The fire burned through the night, spewing forth smog that would hinder any reconnaissance. Thanks to the rainstorm that fell at midnight, the forest fire finally died down and they could enter the forest. The view inside the forest was completely clear. The leaves were burned and the trunks of the trees were reduced to charcoal. Wisps of smoke rose from the blackened ground. They arrived at what had once been the Koan settlement a couple of hours after nightfall. For most of the night, the flames were still too hot to permit entry beyond the edge of the woods. After dawn, with the ground still smoldering, the squad moved in to investigate. The acrid smoke still stinging the eyes. Here and there persistent embers burned and the remains of once proud trees continued to smolder. The smell reminded Taylor of a charcoal pit and they were in it. Where once had been bright greens, the vibrant colors of life, all that was left was black and gray, the colors of death. The only sounds were the sounds of their footfalls amid a moonscape, unnaturally devoid of even insect life. The only thing that looked even remotely intact was the well in what once must have been the center of the village. If one looked carefully, it was still possible to see the depression in the ground where a well-worn footpath cut through the village, with one end leading down to the stream and the other end leading into what yesterday had been forest. As they get closer to the village, the stench of burning wood became stronger. Taking the lead this time around, Tanker 6 slowly rolled into the scorched forest. Its turret-mounted IR camera scanning the area for any signs of life, as the Japanese contingent followed behind them in their vehicles. The air was thick with the scent of scorched earth and burnt wood, as the soil cracked and groaned under the weight of the passing vehicles. Grim expressions could be found on the faces of 3rd Recon, as they continued to roll through the apocalyptic scene and towards the town they had been told that resided in this now destroyed forest. Maybe the residents had made it to safety, maybe they had managed to evacuate once they found out such a creature was headed towards their settlement. Maybe 3rd Recon could still be of assistance to them. But this small hope was quickly dashed away, as the small convoy came upon the remains of Koan village. They could feel the heat from the soles of their feet. My God, Shino gasped out in awe, as the young woman's eyes saw the destruction from her vehicle. The village, or what was left of it anyway, was completely destroyed. All the structures had been reduced to nothing more than burnt-out shells, as the soil now had an eerie shade of gray. Disturbingly, some of the Japanese could see the burnt remains of some of the inhabitants laying about. Eventually, the joint unit came upon what they believed to be the town center. "It just as I feared," said Centurion, just as they were entering the village, or what was left of it. All around them they saw death and destruction. The big dragon they saw attacked the village and razed it to the ground. "Everyone out and search the perimeter," he ordered. The ACV lowering its rear access ramp as it came to a stop, as Williams and 2 of his team exited and met up with the rest of the team. "Shit," Williams said to himself, as he looked about the destroyed village. "Doubt there will be any survivors. I guess it would not have made any difference if we charged in last night." "The ground's still warm," said Conrad as he stepped on the ground of recently burned forest. "It'd be a miracle if anything survived this." Atami was a little bit pessimistic, but also realistic, as he looked how the damage caused by the dragon to this settlement. "To a giant winged lizard like that?" "Yeah," replied Sergeant Campbell while rubbing the tree that was burned by the flame dragon. "Fuck, how could we face that thing if it attacks us?" yelled MSGT. Kramer, is he afraid that the dragon might come back again? Because what they just saw before was a real dragon, not the CGI or optical illusion one. They started to question themselves. Can their MRAP handle the flame from the dragon's breath? Can their bullets penetrate through the dragon's skin? Can their vehicles move faster than the dragon's flying speed? What's the weak spot of the dragon? Those questions were surrounding their minds like a car that was about to hit them. Alright, enough with the chit-chat, said Centurion, we're here to find and rescue anyone who's left alive. Now, split up with your teams, search every structure, every debris you'll find, but find me anyone who's still alive. I'll stay here in the center with the vehicles, medics, Joes and Autobots to provide any assistance to the teams that find someone trapped beneath the debris. Now, move out. Yes, sir, answered the commanders. General, permission to speak, said Taylor. Go ahead, Lieutenant, answered Centurion. Sir, theirs might be possible that some of the survivors went down the stream, said Taylor. With your permission, I would like to take a closer look, since I'm kind of no use here. I agree with Lieutenant Taylor, Commander, said Hound. Here, the warm ground affects my scanners, I can't do much good in finding the survivors. Perhaps, if we search outside, we might be in luck to find a few. Same by me, sir, said Wolverine, this whole smoke clogging my nose, I can't do much about sniffing out the survivors. Alright, you three, said Centurion, your request is granted. I want you to search the stream, but don't get too far, only by a mile. The rest will be useless, by the time you'll find someone, they'll be all far away from here. Yes, sir, saluted Taylor, Hound and Wolverine and leaves. The rest of the 3rd Recon team split up in 4 teams, heading to the separated areas of the village, while Centurion's team and the vehicles stayed at the center. While surveying the area, Tommy saw signs of several buildings. If he looked closely. No, he didn't need to, he could see a several blackened human-shaped object. Captain, these are. Kurata looked at the burned corpse with a terrified face. Don't say it, Kurata. Blah, I feel sick. Kramer rubbed his abdomen and also expressed a disgusted face. His cheekbones become bloated too as he almost wants to puke. Several soldiers vomited at the sight of burned corpses of elves that tried desperately to defend their home. Nishina also vomited when he saw a burned corpse of what seems to be mother holding her child in her arms. Are you alright, Nishina-kun? Mari offered him some medications and held him so that he would not fall to the ground. This is as bad as that Russian village, the same one Nazi burned in 1941, said Haruka to Centurion, as he looked around. Centurion feels remorse and sadness as he discover more and more burned corpses on the ground. Yeah, at least animal kills because it is animal. They do not care what you think or if you are true believer in God. Nick turned to face Centurion. Sir, should our men say some praise to fallen victims? Tell them to say anything to make themselves better, Nick, answered Centurion, you and I already seen similar villages in our time. Yeah, tell me about, growled Fury, I can still remember that French village those Nazi bastards burned in France, or those villages in Greece of Yugoslavia. But this just, sick. Feeling empathy to the victims, Kuwahara, Tikhomirov, Conrad, and Weidman prayed to them so their soul can free in peace. Gome fuku wo inorimasu, rest in peace. May your soul rest in peace. Rest in peace. Rue in Frieden. All the buildings were burned. Everything above the stone floor was destroyed, reducing all of it into piles of rubbles. Blackened corpses laid under these structures. The bridge debris were scattered on the ground, meaning that they also live on the trees. Damn, is like Africa all over again, commented 30K, as the ghost team searches outside the village perimeter. Well, at least in Africa, they don't have that fucking flame lizard flying around and burning villages, answered Pepper. As time passed, all the group had to show for their efforts were numerous bodies that were burned beyond recognition. They were all humanoid in appearance, but that was all. I bet you're used to this kind of thing, huh? Shino asked Williams, as both herself and Kuwahara walked with the corporal. I mean, you are a fireman and... Not on this scale. Williams replied with a flat, almost emotionless tone in his voice. I have seen more than my fair share of death, but never like this. At least most of the times we could identify the bodies afterwards. But does it get any easier? Shino asked the Marine. Despite the tough facade she'd put on, Shino was still shaken by what she was seeing. Death and destruction like she could have never imagined, and the CQC expert was now witnessing the aftermath. If it did, I would not still be in the Marines. Lewis told the young woman, while the sergeant major just listened in on the conversation. Sheena was rather surprised by the corporal's statement, as she did not expect such an answer from someone who probably saw his fair share of combat in places such as Yugoslavia, Iraq and Somalia. Up until this point, Sheena saw the U.S. Marines as fearsome warriors that did not know the meaning of fear. So much so, she actually forgot they were only human much like herself. Thought Centurion loudly, this well here, how do you think it's deep? Plus, oops, this image does not follow our content guidelines. To continue publishing, please remove it or upload a different image. Usually quite deep, sir, said Setsuna, looking at the old village well. Do you think that anybody would take a refuge in there? I don't know, answered Centurion, but with that flying lizard around, you don't have much of choice. Let's take a look, just in case. He then walked to the well and shined his flashlight inside it. Whoa, he gasped, we got a live one here. What? Gasped Haruka, as she, Michiru, Lady J and few others run to the well. Look, Centurion pointed inside the well. You're right, said Ironhide, it's a girl. Not just any girl, replied Lady J, looks like an elf. Quickly, men, we don't have much time, barked the order's Centurion. Ironhide, I need your winch to lower me down. Ratchet, Med Alert, Michiru, prepare for helping that girl. She'll probably had a trauma or hyperthermia because of that cold well down there. Haruka, you go fetch the raincoat from M35. Yes, sir, answered the Autobots and the Joes. Ironhide pulled out a winch from his left hand and lowered it. Centurion then tied it up around his waist. All set, he said, let's do it. Right, Commander, said Ironhide. Centurion then climbed and started his descent down the well. He didn't take too much time getting to the bottom of the well. Ironhide lowered him slowly enough so that he could watch his step and be aware of his surroundings. Thus avoid hitting his head on some loose stone. The well was quite dark, but Centurion's helmet was been equipped with the lights. Very soon his feet got wet. Shortly afterwards he touched down at the bottom of the well. Water was not very high at the well's bottom. It went up to Centurion's waist. He felt someone at his left side and pointed his helmet lights with care not to point it in the face of said person and blind him. To his surprise, that person is a female. Even bigger surprise is that she was an elf. By the looks of it, she looks human enough. Centurion pointed his helmet lights just right of her head. She pointed her head in opposite direction, allowing Centurion to see her long blonde hair and long pointing ears. He was rather impressed to see elf one more time in his life, since he's already encountered several of them in other worlds. Are you alright? He asked the elf in Imperial language. Who are you? She asked him. I'm here to save you, answered Centurion. Are you hurt anywhere? No. I don't think so. Only a small bump on my head, but the rest nothing's broken. Commander, shouted Haruka into the well, I've got the raincoat you've requested. Good, drop it to me, I'll catch it, answered Centurion. Haruka dropped the raincoat, and Centurion catch it. Here, he said, handing the elf girl the raincoat, put this on. As the girl put on the raincoat, Centurion then embraced her. Now, embrace me as tight as you can, he said. She listened to him and embraced him hard enough. Okay, we're all set, shouted Centurion, pull us out of here, Ironhide. One elevator, coming right up, answered Ironhide and begin to winch it up, pulling them up to the surface slowly. Soon, they've reached the surface, and Haruka helped Centurion and the elf girl climbed out of the well. Whoa, gasped Rock and Roll, a real elf. It sure is, added Short Fuse. Well, what's the matter, you jokers, snorted Centurion, never seen an elf before. Now scram, can't you see, you're making her nervous. Lady J, take her to Michiru and others, she needs to be checked out for any injuries or trauma. Yes, Commander, said Lady J. She reached to Elf Girl, but the Elf Girl only clinged stronger to Centurion. My village, she started to sob, my people, my family. Looks like shock's passing, said Lady J. It sure is, answered Centurion, but I sense, she fears us as well. He then took his hands above the girl's head and rubbed it slightly. It's okay, he said, you're with friends now. We'll take care of you, you can trust us. She looked above to see his helmet. Then Centurion took it off, revealing his face, and smiled at her. She then trusted him and smiled as well. Then she allowed Lady J to take her to Ratchet, where Michiru and Med Alert checked her conditions. When Schmeisser, Kalashnikov, Sideswipe and Carrie removed the rubbles in the north side of the village, they found a male humanoid. Why humanoid? Because that human had pointy ears, which none other than Elf. The elf had a short black hair and a fit body like an athlete. When Carrie did a check overall of the body, it was identified that this elf is a male. From the position and the pose when he lying on the grounds, he assumed that this elf thrown out from somewhere and unexpectedly landed inside someone's house. "Hey, we need a medic in here. We got one injured," yelled Carrie as he known that this elf need a medical treatment. Answering Carrie help, MSGT. Bailey approached him and start to check the elf body. "We got two in here," Conrad shouted to Atami, that he also found another two villagers who's trapped in a rubble. This time is a two silver-haired elves, one is an adult female while the other one is a young male, elf mother and son. "Here, I found one too," added Tikhomирov while carrying an adult male blonde elf. He found the elf not far from the position of where black-haired elf lying. These elves were very lucky that they didn't get burned. From the evidence of 4 elves that reside in this now destroyed settlement, they had confirmed that this was an elf village. After searching about an hour, they confirmed 4 survivors in this village, but they were surprised that Centurion has found the 5th. In the meantime, Taylor, Wolverine and Hound continued to head south, following the stream. Here the ground was cool. If anyone had gotten this far, they were probably alive for the moment. That's when Wolverine heard it first. It sounded like a voice, young and insistent and speaking a language neither Taylor or Wolverine recognized. Mom, please don't leave me. Someone will find us." Wolverine held up a hand and signaled a direction to Taylor, who nodded. They heard a second voice, more mature, fainter, as if tired. "My son, I love you so much. I promise I am not ready to leave you." Taylor did not recognize the language but hopefully, being close to Kota village, these people might speak Populari, the form of Latin in use in this world. "I know that language," said Hound, "that's Elvish." "Elvish?" asked Wolverine, "that means, these guys are elves. Come on, quickly." "Hello. Is anyone there?" shouted Taylor, "we're here to help." They then heard the young voice first as they got closer. "They must be from Kota village, Mom. We'll be okay now, right?" "Of course, we will, Galador. We'll be fine." Though the boy's mother did not believe this. Villagers seldom came this way and she had no expectation that they would take in elves. Especially when in all likelihood, they too would soon be fleeing from the flame dragon. But there was no choice but to hope. She heard the footfalls and then with her son huddled in her arms, she looked up to see 2 of the strangest humans she had ever seen in her 308 years, as well one iron giant. Hound then activated his communicator. "This is Hound, we're at the stream about 4 meters from the village, found 2 survivors, a mother and son." "Affirmative, we found 5 survivors as well," heard Setsuna's voice. "By the looks of things, it's 2 males, 2 females and 1 boy. Do you need any assistance?" "Negative, we can handle things here," answered Hound. "We'll contact you as soon as we check the survivors' conditions." "Understood." Shadow 3 out. They took a moment to get a look at the 2 elves before them. The mother was covered in soot and had some cuts and bruises. The son was physically unharmed. Both were shivering slightly from being out in a cold rain all night. Taylor took off his field jacket and wrapped it gently around the mother. The mother winced in pain as she tried to stand on a twisted ankle. "Not good," said Taylor, "looks like she's injured even badly than we thought." "We better take her to the main group fast," said Wolverine, "our medics could do much better job than we are." "Right," said Taylor, "for now, immobilize her leg and help me put her into Hound." "Got it," said Wolverine, pulling out his medic kit. "Hound, transform into vehicle mode." "Right, Wolverine," said Hound and transformed into Jeep mode. Seeing this, both elves were amazed to see the green giant turned into what appeared to be horseless carriage. Taylor and Wolverine then bandages the woman's ankle, then Wolverine carefully picked her up and put her into the Hound. Taylor took the boy's hand and helped him get into Hound. Wolverine got inside as well, then Hound turned and righted to the wreckage of the village. As they got to its center, the rest of the group already completed their searches and brought the survivors to Ratchet. The hound stopped, and Wolverine gently picked up the woman elf and took her to Ratchet. Taylor, for his part, already knew that what the woman named Ainair and her son Galador needed right now was to get warm. He looked around. Somebody break out some blankets, and if anyone would care to donate a clean undershirt and shorts. And somebody look into our ration kits and break out some soup or something. Let's get some heated up for these guys and crank up the heater. You heard him, men, said Centurion, get going. A chorus of response resounded as meantime, Ainair got her first clear look at the other survivors amid these strange humans. Tuka, she exclaimed in the elven language, recognizing those golden locks and the serene face of the younger girl who now cried with her father Hodor Marsu. She also saw her brother Galdor Unconseus, who laid nearby. That's a fine work you did, Hound, Wolverine, said Centurion, where did you find them? South from here by the stream, sir, answered Wolverine. Well, it's a good thing these guys has survived, sighed Centurion, but the rest of the population aren't so lucky. Oh my god, squealed Karata out in delight, an elf. An honest-to-goodness elves. Now that's the sort of thing I was hoping to find out here. Seriously dude, snorted Kenny. These people are possibly the only survivors of their village, and the first thing you think of is your creepy as hell fantasy fetish. Yay, that's messed up, and you come off as a creep, Santo added on, as she berated the young soldier. She's not a sideshow, Bakayar OU, shouted Kuribayashi at Karata, who cringes at her angry sight, so get lost, you stupid otaku. Yeah, said Wolverine, grabbing Karata by the ear, why won't you make yourself really useful, you dope, like helping us giving these people here some proper burial. Ow, whined Karata, wincing in Wolverine's iron grip, please, Wolverine-san. Take it easy, I was just a little bit overexcited. Not on your life, pipsqueak, shot back Wolverine, dragging Karata away, you wanna see some elves? I'll show you some elves. Now get moving, lazy pants, we don't have all day. Alright, said Centurion, now, listen up, you guys, while our medics work to help the survivors, I need you to do some proper burial. We need to do something about those corpses on the ground, pay them some last respect. It's a sad job, but we have to do it. Understood, sir, said Conrad, I'll organize our men. Right, said Centurion, in the meantime, I need to talk with the commanders near the Leopard. That's all, men, carry out. Soon, near the Leopard, Centurion was been gathered with Fury, Conrad, Eric, Min, Atami, Tikhomira, Weideman, Riley, Williams, Skip, Ferguson and Gunther. Anybody wanna smoke, he can have it, said Centurion. Thanks, sir, said Skip, taking his cigarette and starting to smoke. Alright, said Centurion, now, let's have the damage report, what's the condition of the village? The village is totally wasted, sir, sighed Eric, we've counted here about 32 buildings in the village, 3 large buildings and 29 mid-sized to small buildings. We've also confirmed 27 bodies, that's too few. Some might have been crushed by the debris or eaten by the dragon. But we might never know the true number, some are turned entirely to ash, and it was very difficult to differentiate them from surrounding debris. Let's say there are 3 people per building, there should be 90 people in this village, said Centurion, if it's include a larger families, there should be about 100 here. Were they wiped out or hiding somewhere? That's the main problem, sir, said Ferguson, we can't tell you that because of the expensive amount of damage caused by the fire. It's terrible, sir. You know what pains me the most, said Centurion, even if we were present here I have no idea if we would have been able to assist. Fighting humans is one thing, hell even other races and alien creatures are not such a problem. But fighting dragons on the other hand is something outside our league. Sir, I'm sure that our anti-air missiles and jets can make a short work out of these beasts, said Conrad. I have no doubt about that, the problem is timing, replied Centurion, I can't have planes constantly in the air around us, that would require a lot of fuel and a ton of maintenance. And SAM batteries we have at our base are all too heavy and slow. We don't know if the smaller ones like Stingers we carry with us would help at all. We used them to take out those wyverns that Imperials used, but that thing is much bigger than them. Yeah, a granddaddy of them, sir, said Riley, we barely made a scratch on those wyverns during the Ginza incident. Their scales could withstand the impact of our 5.56 by 45 mm and 7.62 by 51 mm rounds. But we could barely pierce their abdomen with 12.7 mm rounds. The ACV Bushmaster cannon could kill those wyverns, sir, said Williams, but against that thing, I'm afraid, it'll only tickle it, thus making him more angrier. So what we have is a flying tank with a flamethrower and bad attitude, said Skip. Sir, may I suggest that we should use only our anti-armor equipment, like the Javelin missiles. And the Leopard's heat ammo, said Gunther. And BMP-3M's anti-tank missiles, said Tikhomirov. And our RPGs, said Conrad. Agreed, said Centurion. Now then, everyone, tell your men, when we encounter that dragon once more, we use only our anti-armor weapons, nothing else. Any autocannons, machine guns and rifles are out of the question, they'll like peas against an armored tank. Yes, sir, nodded the others. Sir, said Atami, we need to investigate where the dragon's nest is, where it travels to, and its area activity. That sounds real good, Atami, said Centurion. I shall talk about it with the rest of the command, when we're back at Alnus. In the meantime, we got other things to worry about. You mean, the survivors, sir, said Min. Affirmative, answered Centurion, much as I hate it to admit, but we can't leave them here. This place is a disaster area, nothing can live here anymore. Plus, they all injured, minus 2 kids, Galador and Tuka. Whoa, you already know their names, asked Conrad. Only few of them, answered Centurion, we can get the rest of their names, once we'll be able to awaken the rest of the elves, but several of them are still unconscious. Our doctors at Fort Ginza might be able to help them get better or take care of their traumas. I see, said Weidman, so, what now? We classify these elves as refugees and take them to Alnus, said Centurion. As the members of the United Nations, it's our duty to take good care of the civilians, who might get hurt during combat situations. Right, sir, said Tikhomirov, but what about the dragon? That Zemi Goranik is still out there, attacking other villages, and I've got a feeling, they're just target practice. You're right about that, Leonid, replied Centurion, that dragon is definitely looking for much bigger meal, and something tells me, he's after the biggest of them all. Alnus? Asked Wiedemann. Exactly, answered Centurion, but on its way, he might hit those 3 villages we've visited earlier. Great heavens, gasped Conrad, Vijay and several others are stationed in those villages right now. That's why we need to help these people, said Centurion. Radio Vijay and his men, tell them what happened here. Have them inform the village's chiefs about the dragon. Sir, said Ferguson, we've been able to capture several images of the dragon by using our digital optics. We can email those images to Vijay, so he can show them to the chiefs. Good idea, Ferguson, said Centurion. In the meantime, I'll contact Starbase, inform them about the dragon and ask for any air support and reinforcements. That's about it, gentlemen. We'll move out, as soon as our medics finished helping those elves. Dismissed. Yes, sir, saluted other commanders and dispersed, while Centurion walked to Ratchet. Michiru, he called, and Michiru got out of Ratchet. Yes, Commander, she asked. What's the condition on our survivors? Their body temperature is stable, and their wounds are healing up right now. Healing. That means, they must be using some kind of a regeneration to heal their wounds. Possibly, sir, said Michiru. I've also noticed some kind of an energy coming from them, must be magic. Healing magic, said Centurion, that's good to hear. But still, these elves need our help. I've decided to take them with us back to Alnus, our doctors are be able to help them more. In the meantime, Michi, go turn on your radio pack, I need to talk with General Hazama. Understood, Kiro-chan, answered Michiru and went to her cyclone. Taylor, said Centurion. You called, sir, asked Taylor, coming to Centurion. Yes, Lieutenant. I'm putting you, Med Alert, Kurakawa and Ratchet to be in charge of the elf's conditions, you're personally responsible for them. We're taking them to Alnus due to their conditions, but they need some help. That's where you come, Lieutenant. You and the others' job is to helping these elves by all means necessary, understood? Aye, sir, saluted Taylor. Carry on, said Centurion, then turning and walked to Michiru, while Taylor get inside Ratchet. Meanwhile, Aner understood that these humans were not simple villagers by any means. Their demeanor and their clothes, while unusual, clearly bespoke their status as soldiers. And yet they carried neither swords, nor spears, nor shields, nor armor. As she held the cup of soup that had been given her, she considered that instead of making a fire, they had simply poured water into a pouch and from that had produced hot soup. Perhaps these people were an order of wizards, she thought to herself. But this still made little sense. Perhaps she would learn more later, but for now, it was enough to hold her son. 6 F-18 Hornets of the United States Marine Corps taxied from their hangars and towards the primary runway. Behind them, 6 Su-30 fighters with Indian Air Force markings waited for their turn to launch. Each aircraft were armed to the teeth with missiles and external gun pods and were just minutes away from making history. As the joint Allied Nations Air Force would be conducting the first combat air patrol of their presence in the special region, just hours ago, reports from the recon teams sent out stated that there was an large dragon in the Aulnay-Provence and that it had attacked at least 4 villages in the region. 3rd Recon was not the first to report such a sighting. Recon 6 and its Indonesian contingent reported seeing the creature flying over a forest and setting it alight with its fur breath. A similar report came in less than an hour later, this time from Filipino scout rangers who said that they had came across a destroyed village just south from where the Indonesians were operating. In all, 6 recon teams had reported the large dragon, and it was not long before it was realized that such a creature could prove to be problematic in the future. Thus, the decision was made to deal with the threat, and with the fixed-wing assets now becoming operational, the ANF command now had the means to do so. Black Sheep lead, you are cleared for takeoff. The control tower radioed to the lead F-18, as it positioned itself for launch. Then with a roar and blue flame shooting out the large single engine, the multi-role fighter rolled down the recently paved runway. The world around it turning into a blur as the fighter quickly ascended into the air and into the blue Alnus sky, as the rest of its squadron followed it. Orioles lead, you are cleared for takeoff. On cue, the small French fighters accelerated down the runway and into the sky. Only to be joined minutes later by the rest of its squadron. After making a few orbits above the base, the fighter split up into teams of 2 and flew off into the Falmart sky. These fighters were on a search and destroy mission. Their target, a big red dragon. While on the land, a sizable force was been assembled. A U.S. Marine tank platoon, several support vehicles, SPODs and mobile SAMs, as well as squad of Ka-52 Alligator and Michigan 28 helicopters, not to mention several machines been used by the G.I. Joe, but so far hasn't make their appearance in Special Region. Now time has come for their debut. Centurion Prime personally requested special reinforcements due to the fact that several villages are under a threat of been attacked by the dragon, and the command responded by sending to their commander the finest defenses they can muster. Thus the first anti-monster operation in Special Region, codenamed Dragon Slayer, has begun. 3rd Recon team was heading back to the villages at increased pace. Centurion didn't want to lose any time with that flying monster roaming around. Sir, we will not encounter Nekomimi before the dragons attack us, right? Kurata was feeling unsafe after leaving the ruined elven village. What the, you still talk about Nekomimi in this situation, yelled Atami, Baka no. What if Tot Thing really appeared again? As they arrived at Copperkeep, they've meet with Indian soldiers and Chieftain d'Amboise. Sir Prime, said looking worried d'Amboise, is it true? The elf village was been destroyed by the flame dragon. Yes, Mr. Chieftain, answered Centurion, we now have only 7 survivors of that village, we don't know if there are any others. I believe, you saw the picture my men showed you. Yes, we did, answered d'Amboise, and we already know what that thing is. It's called Deerdrago, the flame dragon. 30 years ago, it destroyed an entire town in Elb Kingdom. I was there, I saw it with my own eyes. If that thing is here, said Centurion, then I suggest, you and others needs to leave the village. Yes, Sir Prime, you're right, said d'Amboise, once Deerdrago taste human or elf flesh, he'll not stop until he destroy every settlement in area he was seen. He will seek out any settlements it can find and attack relentlessly. Mark my words, that beast will be back. Out village is not safe, we must evacuate. I've already foreseen your actions, chieftain, said Centurion. My men will assist you with the evacuation, as well with the evacuation of other villages nearby. You'll do that for us? Asked surprised d'Amboise. You've helped us, answered Centurion, now we shall help you. Tell your people to pack only necessary items and leave the rest. My men will offer you any kind of assistance, should if that dragon or the bandits tried to attack you. But we don't have enough money, started still confused d'Amboise. We don't work for money, answered Centurion, it's our duties to protect the civilians no matter where we are, and despite the fact that your empire is at war with us, your safety is our primary concern. So you can forget about the payment, we doing it for you. Thank you, Sir Prime, bowed d'Amboise, then turned to other villagers, everyone, pack your carriages. We're leaving. The village was now in a state of panic as residents quickly gathered what they could and started to leave the village. Centurion, for his part, turned to other members of the 3rd Recon team. Your orders, General. Centurion didn't answer for several more seconds while he looked around some more, noticing people gathering in hurry to move out. These people are defenseless, if that dragon or bandits attack them while they are on the run it will be slaughter. Are you suggesting that we escort them until nearest town? Asked Conrad. You've got any better ideas? Asked Centurion. Begging you pardon, General, but our mission was to recon and gather information, not to escort and protect a bunch of refugees, said Sasagawa. That may be true, Private, but what are you suggesting? That we leave these people to die? Centurion didn't let him to finish his sentence. You've never been in that village in 1941, Sasagawa, you didn't saw death and destruction myself, Haruka and Michiru have seen. You never saw what those Nazi butchers did to those villagers. He points his hand to one of the family gathering their things and putting them into their wagon. Would you be okay if you knew you had the opportunity to help that family survive but choose not to? Do you want that Russian village incident to happen again? Or do you want Lidus, Katan and Orator tragedy happened all over again? To his question Sasagawa had no answer, he just lowered his head and stood there silent. Didn't think so either, Private. Michi. Yes, Commander, answered Michiru. Radio the HQ, tell them to put 4 jets on nearby patrol, 2 by 2. And I want them armed to the teeth. Also, I want that combat support team to join us outside Kota village, ready to assist us in seconds, if we need backup. Yes, sir. The rest of you, assist the villagers in preparations and then report to your vehicles. This is now a humanitarian escort mission. Move out, shouted Centurion, so that every ANF soldier in the village have heard him. They all saluted and started assisting villagers in packing their things. General, said Skip, we might better send our men to the other villages to have them evacuated, so by the time we get there, they'll all pack up and go. Good idea, Skip, said Centurion, you and your team, as well, Hunter, team go to Colton and Kota villages, tell our men to assist the villagers in their evacuations. I want all of them ready to leave, as soon as we appear with the convoy of Copperkeep refugees. Go. Yes, sir, saluted Skip and leaves. Centurion then walked to Ratchet. Taylor. Yes, sir, appeared Taylor. Listen, I'm gonna need to temporarily relieve you from the carrying of those elves. We need to assist the villagers in their evacuation, and I don't want any accidents. You've been trained in damage control, right? Yes, sir. Then I want you to find local blacksmith and carpenter, have them inspect and shore up every wagon in the village. If time was of the essence, then it would not be wasted in haste. Sir, this would still not gonna prevent the loss of a carriage from overloading. Yes, but it will prevent others from breaking down. Understood, sir. Carry on. Near Kota village, beside the waterfall, there was a cliff that provided as a ground for a cobblestone house that looked like have been attached to a tree. Everyone who lived in the village near this house knew that this is the place where lives one of the powerful magician in this region, Cato L. Alston. Cato L. Alston's appearance was like reincarnation of both Gandalf and Dumbledore from classic magic books, only more goofy and pervert like Jiraiya from Naruto. Despite all of that, he was still respected by the villagers around him. Not only that, he was considered as a legend and one of the people who acquires the Archmage rank in Rondel. While his granddaughter, Lelena, who is still 15 years old and now is carrying stuffs to the carriage, have an appearance of short blue hair like an ordinary anime girl character. She wears a green tabard and white dress with blue stripes as her clothes. Unlike her humorous master, she has a very different character. She always look emotionless and her face shows an expressionless. People from beyond the gate probably will call her as a robo-girl, while some of the Autobots might compare her to one of the most stoic Decepticon, Soundwave. Suddenly, an old woman and another girl who has the same age with Lele, appeared from Kato's house and helped Kato and Lele moving their stuffs to the carriage. That old woman was Mimosa Lemaire, while the girl was Arpeggio L. Lilina. Like Kato, Mimosa was one of the Archmage of Rondel. Many of their fellow mage in Rondel always made a gossip during their studies that Kato and Mimosa were building a secret, deepened relationship because of their closeness. Well, it turns out to be true. Their marriage has been known by the Rondel's alumni and even the villagers acknowledge the marriage of this mage's couple. For Arpeggio's side, she was the elder sister of Lele. She and her younger sister were also attending at Rondel Academy and were having self-study with their grandparents in Kota village. Oh ouch! Kato grimaced in pain after he fell from the stairs due to the heavy weight the books he carrying. "Ah, are you okay?" said Mimosa worriedly. "I'm fine, I just slipped because of this slippery stairs," replied Kato, rubbing his back. Then, he got help to stand by Mimosa. "Well, always remember my grandchilds, look down when you carrying heavy stuffs while walking on the stairs." Mimosa raised her right index finger like a teacher that giving an advice to her students. "Your husband is in pain and you still using a cheerful tone in a condition like this." Kato became angry at one of the Mimosa's antic advices. "Oh, Kato. Me and you are married couples now, but our soul are still the mixture of teenage nature and old wise nature. Right?" Kato grumbled in an angry voice, but quickly reduces, when his granddaughter, Lele, informed something at him. "Grandpa, we can't load any more," said Lele, standing beside the carriage that was overloaded because it had been filled with so many books, medicine ingredients, and some. In a certain times, Lele and Arpeggio will call Kato and Mimosa as master, or teacher, especially if she are traveling to other public places or when she is in Rondel Academy. Otherwise, they will call them as grandpa, or grandma, if they spending time with the family. "But, what about our books? We can't do anything without all of it," Kato protested, as he did not wanted to leave his books behind, not even a single one. How about if we ditched some of the Arpeggio's books?" "That's a good idea, Kato," replied Mimosa. "Grandma, grandpa, how could you say that?" screamed Arpeggio. "I've almost have my half year by copying all of this books in a large quantities and you two want me to remove it from this carriage? No way. How about if we just bring the important books only?" Lele gave a suggestion to cool them off. Even though she and her sister always fight each other, but that doesn't mean she always opposed and hated her. See, even Lele agreed to let me keep my documents. Probably felt guilty to Arpeggio. Kato and Mimosa also agreed with Lele's idea. "Well, I guess you were right, Lele," said Kato as he only picked books with the title, Medical Spells for Mage Doctor, Controlling Earth Materials, Water, Fire, and Wind. Basic Spells for Mage Freshman, Mage and Spells Dictionary, and Spells for Self-Defense, then putting it inside the sack. After loaded all of their stuffs on the wagon, they hopped on the horse carriage. When Lele pulled the rope as a sign for the horse to walk, the horse didn't move a single step. The sheer number of books they put weighed so much that carriage's wheels were stuck in the soft ground. The horse didn't move at all. Kato looked at the horse who just stand still. "Is it because too heavy?" Mimosa said, while looking at the carriage that almost big as a house. "Well, Grandpa said that we need to load everything we can. I told you that we cannot take that many books, Grandpa. You will need to select some to leave behind." "I know that, Lele, but I cannot forgive myself if even one book is left behind." He made sinister look with his face. "But you know, if you use your magic." Lele sighed to his proposal. "Grandpa, you should know better than to teach me something like this. It's misuse of magic, you know." Her master face went sour in a second. "Come on, Lele, it's not like we have any other choice. Your sister never complains at such idea that would ease both of our pain." He looks closely at Lele as she put the books on their place in wagon. "Plus she is more gifted than you." Lele shooed a look toward her master. Her blue eyes made him instantly feel uneasy. Master, you should know better than talking thing like this. Or do you wish me to demonstrate new magic in some other way? Lele fetched her wand that was tied at her back and pointed it toward Kato. Old magician started to sweat as the wand started glowing. Now, Lele, you would gain very little from hurting your master. I am aware of that, said Lele. I think we should remove Grandpa's and Grandma's books from the wagon. Arpeggio tried to have a little revenge of her grandparents' antics. Arpeggio, Kato and Mimosa shouted at Arpeggio. No. I'm just joking. Then she let out a loud sigh. What should we do now? We can't just back and forth for the sake of our belongings. I have an idea. Lele raised her staff and then chanting a spell. Then, the carriage floated 20 centimeters above ground level, which make the horse can easily pull the wagon. This is a brilliant idea, Lele. A floating wagon to make the weight more lighter. Mimosa appraised her youngest granddaughter action. Looks like I lost again. Arpeggio reacted with a heavy sigh and disappointed face. Come on, don't be like that. I'm sure one day you can match up with Lele or even surpass her. Mimosa tried to cheer up her as Arpeggio feel pessimistic. Yeah, in my dreams, snorted Arpeggio. Min run to Helena's house and knocked at the door. Mr. Min, surprised Helena, seeing him, what are you doing here? You need to get out of here, said Min. A flame dragon destroyed the elf village and now hunting for more victims. Chieftain Albert ordered a full evacuation of Kota. You mean, Deirdre? Gasped Helena. Yes, that's what they called it, answered Min. You must leave this village at once. But where should I go? Answered Helena. No one will let me live, because the Empire treated us as nothing more than animals. I would have to become a slave to sustain my living. Leave that to me, said Min. I'll take care of you. Take care of me, surprised Helena, but I'm just a warrior bunny, nothing more. I don't care, answered Min. In my world, everyone who's born there has equal rights. So therefore, you'll have all the rights as a living being, like Parna. I'll take you to Alnus, where you'll be safe, and where no one will treat you as some animal or a slave. Thank you, Mr. Min, beamed Helena. Will you please help me pack my stuff? Certainly, ma'am, answered Min. Oh, and by the way, you can call me Liu. Outlaw -1, this is RT3, do you copy? Said Centurion into the radio. Read you, RT3, this is Outlaw -1, heard it from the radio. How's everything going in the village? Evacuation proceeds normal, we're almost finished with helping the civilians, answered Centurion. We're right outside the village, ready to assist, RT3. Our commander is on his way to meet with you, sir. Understood, Outlaw -1, awaiting your officer, RT3 over and out. Damn, look at that group of villagers that are trying to evacuate, said Major Armstrong, looking through the trek of refugees via a binocular. According to the data that was informed to the Armstrong team by the 3rd Recon Platoon, the total number of the refugees they were escorting will be 1450 peoples. No wonder why the 3rd Recon Platoon need their help. As the HMMV appeared at the exit, the villagers became confused again. There is another group of this other world soldiers. Just how many are they? Then, entered the HMMV, Armstrong exited and meet Centurion, saluting him. General, he said, Major Armstrong of the U.S. Army reporting for duty. At ease, Major, said Centurion, returning the salute. Are your vehicles all set? That's affirmative, sir, answered Armstrong. We're good and ready to join your team. We're almost finished here, said Centurion. We leave in 2 minutes. Yes, sir, saluted Armstrong. General, permission to report, appeared Mira. Permission granted, answered Centurion. What's going on? It's Mrs. Kuzmina's wagon, sir, answered Mira. It's got overloaded and broke its axle. Not only that, her horse start to acting crazy, probably because of the weight the horse trying to pull on. I'll handle this, said Centurion. Haruka, Michiru, with me. Mira, tell Weidman, Montez and Tikhomirov to join me at the incident site. We might need some help there. Yes, sir, saluted Mira. Meanwhile, in the back side of the convoy, the mage's family wagon that just arrived to follow the refugees group begin to confused. What is happening up ahead? Kato curiously wanted to know why the convoy is stopped. Ah, Master Kato, Mistress Mimosa, Lele, Arpeggio, Sorry for the trouble, one of our cart is overloaded and make the axle broke. Blocking the road ahead, one of the villagers informed the mage family about the trouble ahead. Erg, how long does this will take? Arpeggio complained, while landing her body to the sack behind her like it's a pillow. Well, what do you think? This is part of our job to do the evacuation, yelled someone from the back that made this mage family turned around curiously. Behind them, a group of soldiers with strange uniform and pattern on their clothes and wielding a strange staffs too, were running beside the wagon's trek. Not only that, they also heard it a very different language that was spoken by these soldiers. Lele assumed that these peoples aren't from here, but one thing she knows is that they are soldiers. Lieutenant Basarova, get assistance from the village chief. Private Montez, you go with Captain Weidman, Sergeant. Major Kuahara, and Private Mira to load up the villager belongings from the broken carriage to our truck, yelled one of those people to his group members. I never seen a soldier like that. Mimosa wondered, who are these peoples? I never seen those kind of clothes too, added Kato. Kurakawa, check the injured, the soldier yelled at one of his female comrades. From the word of, injured, only, they knew the woman is a medic. Whoa, there's a female soldier in that group too, Arpeggio commented as she saw a women soldier in it. At a glance, Lele briefly saw a strange patches on those soldiers' left arms. In fact, she doesn't even thought that it is a patch, but instead a flag. The first soldier she see have a white rectangle with red circle in the middle of it. The green attire is mixed with brown sand, dark brown, and green texture. The other one has a blue square in the top left of the rectangle. Inside the blue square, Lele can see so many inside it. She also can see that the patch has an alternating red and white stripes. Now, this is very different from the first one, since the clothes are now have a light colors of both brown and green. The other one has a horizontal white stripe on the top, blue stripe at the middle, and red stripe below those white and blue. For Lele, the soldiers in this uniform is kinda scary, since almost all of their attire are dark green. The other one and probably the last unique patch she sees, it have a horizontal stripes like black stripe on the top, red stripe at the middle, and golden stripe at the below of those two. Just like the second one, the uniform of the people with black gold red stripe patch are having a light colors, but it's very different since the mix of brown and green dots are simple looking. If this unknown people are soldiers, where did they come from? What countries did they serve? Imperial Army Legion or not even wear this kind of outfit. Then, this mage family started to hear a strange sound on their right side. When they looked to the source of the sound, an 8-wheeled, rectangle turtles, and 4-wheeled, horseless carriage, comed to their location. One of the unknown soldier that Lele just saw was approaching one of the brown sand horseless carriage. She carefully heard their conversation. Private First Class Kirstein, why the convoy is stopped? Can you explain what just happened? Said an old man exiting the vehicle. One of the villagers' carriage axle is broken, Major Armstrong. We'll heading back to the scene, answered the female soldier named Kirstein, to her captain named Armstrong. Suddenly after she said that, Major Armstrong immediately followed her to see the problem more clearly. I want to take a close look of them, said Lele as she leaves the wagon and headed to location of the incident. Hey, wait up, Lele, yelled Kato as he followed Lele from behind, leaving Mimosa and Arpeggio. When these two arrived at the scene, the road was scattered by sacks that full of Mrs. Kuzmina's family belongings. In the middle of the road, Gloria, Kuzmina's daughter, was lying on there with her. Hey, stay back, little girl, said the soldier who have the same patch as Major Armstrong. But Lele didn't care, she's still walking towards the girl who is younger than her, keeled before her and then put her palm to Gloria's head. This girl is in most severe condition, said Lele. If only I read the medical spells from the first time, Kato sighed with a disappointed tone. Suddenly, a same female soldier that passed Kato's family wagon was kneeling with both of her knees and also started to checking Gloria's condition. She's having a concussion and a small fractured bones after fell from the carriage, said the female soldier. Judging from her gesture, she was telling the additional injuries to Lele, Kato, and her comrades. Kato assumed that this female soldier is also a medic. Of course this thing made Lele and Kato confused, because a soldier who also a medic was never been implemented, not even by an Imperial Army or Arpale Army. What should we do, Lieutenant? Atami, said the female medic to her subordinate. Take her and her family inside that Russian truck, along with their belongings too, replied Atami. No time for that, suddenly said another man in armor. Lele and Kato surprised to see this man's armor, which looked like some sort of a knight. His companions also surprised the mages. One of them was wearing dark green armor with a small pod on his shoulder, while the other wears a helmet similar to the one worn by Imperial officer, but it was far stronger. These must be some kind of noble lords with these soldiers, said Kato. I don't think so, master, answered Lele. That girl has suffered an injury that might kill her in hours, continued the man. If we won't help her now, she'll die. He then kneeled down to the girl next to Lele. Then suddenly, the horse that was lying on the ground before now become frenzied and tried to stomping Lele, Kato, and Gloria as well with its feet. But then the man pulled out a strange weapon from his chest holster. It fired a red beam, which completely blown the horse's head into nothingness. Without even taking a look, the man fired his weapon again, blowing the horse's giant feet, before they landed on Lele, as the bloated mass of what's left of the horse fell on the ground, dead, while the crowd watched in stun. Whoa, gasped Atami, what a shot. Hey, that's our chief's accuracy for ya, said one of the armored men. These people saved me, said Lele looking at them with a blank expression. Lele was in a complete state of shock at this point. Moments ago she was staring death in the face and was almost certain that her life would have ended right there in the village. But as she looked around and saw the armored stranger, as he put his weapon back into his holster. That man just saved my life. The man then turned to Lele. Are you some kind of a magician? He asked her. Yes, said Lele, I am. Do you know any healing magic? Yes. Then I need your help. This girl is in severe condition, she received wound that might kill her in matter of hours. She can't survive unless we help her. Yes. I know special technique that allows to heal human injuries, even seem to be impossible by our modern medicine. If we combine your magic with my healing jutsu, then perhaps we just might save this young girl's life. Let's do it. Good. The man then put out a strange crystal-like device. It activated and engulfed both of them in green light field. This regeneration field will stimulate my jutsu, said the man, as well your magic powers. Are you ready? Yes, answered Lele. Then let's begin, said the man. He then made several hand signs and said, Ninja art, mystic palm jutsu. His hands glowed green, as he putted on Gloria's head. Lele at the same time said incantations, and her scepter glowed blue. She lowered and touched Gloria's forehead. Both of them concentrated their own powers. I've seen this before, said Armstrong, in Atlanta, during the Olympics. Yeah, said Atami, I saw it too. He was healing that almost drowned swimmer with this art. But it looks like now they've combining magic and Centurion's healing technique to help the girl, said another person in armor, turning out to be a woman. Gloria then slightly moaned, as she felt her pain going away. Then, she opened her eyes to see Centurion and Lele. Are you alright, Gloria? Asked Centurion. Muttered Gloria, I think so. Centurion then smiled. That means you're healed, he said. He then turned off his field and get up, as well Lele. Thank you, said Centurion, what is your name? Lelena, answered Lele. Nice to meet you, Lele, said Centurion, my name is Prime. Centurion Prime. Prime, muttered Lele, that's a strange name. General Prime, sir, said Weedman. Yes, what is it, Hauptmann, turned to him Centurion. This carriage is broken good, we don't have the time to fix it. We need to use the leopard to pooch it away. Understood, said Centurion, remove all the belongings from the carriage and call in Gunther, we need to get this column moving right away. Yes, sir. After moving all the boxes and belongings of the carriage into one of the trucks, the Leopard 2A6 made its appearance. What is that? Exclaimed Kato, as the Leopard 2 made its way up the village road and stopped short of the downed carriage. Unbeknownst to Kato and Lele, the tank commander was communicating with Centurion over the radio on what to do. The giant metal beast roared its engine as it quickly approached the carriage. It was too tall even on its side just to simply crush it, so the leopard 2 gently pressed against the carriage and moved it out of the way, clearing the road for the rest of the carriages. Incredible, that iron beast moved that carriage like it was nothing, said Kato. What is it called? Asked Lele out loud. The leopard then turned around seemingly on the spot and proceeded outside the village with the rest of the villagers and their carriages in tow. Good, you have arrived. Kato saw that village chieftain has arrived to greet them. Please get in line behind the last wagon. We are going to head out any minute now. I understand, chief, but do tell me, he points towards strange vehicles, what are those? Oh that, we had visitors yesterday, Kato. They came from Alnus Hill. Kato's eyes widened. Lele also got some interest now that the name of the famous hill was mentioned. You mean from the other side of the gate? They are the ones who beat half the Empire's legions. The same, they came this morning and established a trade with us. It was them who reported the sighting of the flame dragon. The elf village on the other side of the river was been destroyed, only few survivors were left. That is a real shame. I knew many good elves from that village. Kato's sad face moved even Lele, who put her left hand on her master's right shoulder. As soon as I heard what happened, I gave the order to move out. We are going toward Italica. We should be safer there since that city has fortifications. A logical conclusion. Kato moved his attention toward strange soldiers. What about them? He points his hand toward them. They offered us protection along the way. They did, but you don't have anything to pay them back. They said it is all right, that they will help us because they are bound by their oath as warriors. Interesting, Kato noted as he saw soldiers finishing their assistance and heading back to their transports. In that case, I cannot wait to have a chance to talk with them. I am glad to hear it, Sage Kato. Now please go and take your position in the caravan, we are just about to start our travel. See you once we get to Italica, Sage Kato. Miss Lele, village chief said his greetings and rushed toward the head of the column. The magicians take their place behind the last wagon in the line. Both of them noticed soldiers getting into the back of their transportation that were parked not far from them. Come on troops, on the double. We don't want to keep the general waiting. They've noticed a single soldiers walking behind the embarking troops, shouting to them to embark faster. Seems to be some kind of leader, Lele noted her observing. Seems so, but I am more interested in their language. I have heard nothing even remotely close to it. I am sure we will have time to learn it, master. In that moment they heard some strange sound coming from the transports now filled with strange soldiers. What is that? I have no idea. Lele, look. Sage Kato was amazed as he can see that transports are moving all by themselves. He expected horses to tow them, but he was surprised to see that none were present. The transports were moving on their own, forming a line right behind them. Master, Lele started, but she was lost for words. I know, Lele, now I definitely wish to learn more about these strange people. As they argued possible theories on what kind of magic could power their transports, both of them could not help but notice that same solder from before standing near their cart and looking at their wheels. Thanks to Lele's magic they were hovering above ground. It seems to them that soldier was amazed to see this. He raised his head and looked at the toe of them. He made a strange face, nodded twice and head toward the head of the column. Do you think that was some gesture in their country, master? I have no idea, Lele, I have no idea. Centurion was sitting at his cyclone at the head of the column. He was reading the reports from Michiru. So we will have support in mere seconds at any time. Good work, Michi. Thanks, Kiro-chan. Alright, is everything ready? It should be. We are just waiting for Spider to come by and give us a go signal. Speaking of the devil, just as Haruka finished her sentence, Spider appeared at Centurion's side. Commander, everything is ready. The transport is ready to go. Excellent, Spider, now return back to your team. We will head out right now. Yes, Commander. Sir, permission to speak. Granted. Now, what is it? Well, I saw a hovering carriage at the end of the column. It was surrounded by blue light. I see. Tell me, has this carriage been inhabited by old man and a blue-haired girl with staffs? Yes, sir. There are also an old woman and another girl, also carrying staffs. Well, Spider, you've just meet local family of wizards. I've meet their girl called Lele Lelena, who helped me healed one of the local girls, who got injured. I think, they can be quite useful to us during this escort mission. Understood, sir. Permission to return to my team. Permission granted, Major, carry on. Yes, sir, saluted Spider and left. So, we have ourselves a family of wizards, huh? Asked Haruka. The more, the merrier, smiled Michiru. All right, said Centurion, let's roll. We've got a lot of miles to cover us. And with that, a line of carriages and vehicles moved out of the village. Chapter 11, Flame Dragon and New Allies, Part 2. As the column moved on, Min introduced Helena to the rest of the members of 3rd Recon Team. Naturally, this has made Kurata real happy to see a rabbit girl, but his joy went sour, as it turned out, that Helena was only interested with Min. On their way, they've been joined by vehicles of Combat Support Team. Aside from M1A2 Abrams tanks, there were also 4 ADOTS M3 missile launchers. These weapons were perfect to fight both land threats and air threats as well. 8 missiles, designed to penetrate the hardest armor, both capable of destroying aircraft at range of 8 kilometers and tank at 6 kilometers, they were the perfect tools to fight Flame Dragon. The second most prominent vehicle was G.I. Joe Patriot self-propelled mortar. Armed with 160mm mortar, cannons and missile launchers, Patriot could easily destroy even the most hardened targets. Third vehicle of the G.I. Joe Combat Support Team arsenal was Brawler, a self-propelled gun. Armed with 122mm howitzer, 640mm grenade launchers, 2 anti-air missiles and 2 dual-barrel mortar cannons, Brawler could easily engage any both land-based and air threats. Aside from their vehicles, the G.I. Joe brought their own special weapons, mobile suits. One of such was RGM-122 Javelin and its modification with cannons. Armed with beam weapons and missiles, these mobile suits were designed to support the rapid deployment team, like G.I. Joe, thus increasing their firepower. The second of such mobile suits was Buster, a heavy-duty mobile suit armed with beam cannon, that could destroy even a space cruiser or an airship. Thai's mobile suits was one of the most heavy armored suits in G.I. Joe arsenal. And last, but not least, the Sniper Gundam, designed to destroy enemy targets with precision accuracy, also equipped with missile launchers for increased firepower. Needless to say, not only the villagers, but also the Japanese were amazed to see the mobile suits. It was almost coming out of their world of mecha manga. As for Lele, she was also amazed to not only see the Iron Giants, but also Ka-52 and Michigan 28 helicopters buzzing over their heads. My words, gasped Kato, these people are from another world. How did they manage to fly those gray birds above us, surprised Arpeggio. These giants, said Lele, they're so huge. Looks like our general is lying down one of his trump cards, said Kuwahara. Yeah, said Atami, I'd sure hate to be in that dragon's scales, if he's ever thinking about attacking this convoy. Alright, people, listen up, said Centurion over the radio. Our job is to escort these refugees to their safe location, that is, the city called Italica about several miles from here. It's gonna be a tough one, cause there's a lot of bandits in the area, and many of them are looking for some helpless civilians to pick on. Plus, there's also one big bad dragon in the area, who's looking for some target practice. Our job is to make sure that neither of them put a dent to this convoy, understood? Yes, sir, answered several voices at the radio. Good, said Centurion, my team will act as the advance guard, Fury, you and your team will be our rear guard. Skip, I want you to look after our right flank, Hunter, you take the left. Remember, keep your eyes open for any intruders. If any one of those bastards would even tries to spit into our direction, you lower the boom on him, got it? We get you, sir. Excellent. We'll be going through night, so be on the lookout, everyone. That's all for now, carry on. Yes, sir. This was a very troubling indeed. In the days following the deployment of the recon teams into the Alnus countryside, command began to receive some very troubling reports from their units in the field about the current situation in the region. Apparently there was a considerable rise in criminal activity in the area since the initial battle of Alnus Hill. Apparently the units which the ANF had defeated were responsible for maintaining law and order in the province and were made up of the garrisons that were stationed among the many towns and villages which dotted the region. From the reports which were sent in, these garrisons were deployed to Alnus Hill after what was left of the Imperial Army came back from their ill-fated expedition across the gate. A deployment many did not come back from. The ANF made sure of that fact once they crossed over. But with the garrisons gone, the entire province was now at the complete mercy bandits and even slavers. As the recon teams reported that many of the villages and towns they visited, all complained about recent attacks. Some villages had food stolen from their stores, while others were burned to the ground by the crazed men. Many of whom, as it was soon discovered by the teams, were imperial soldiers who deserted before and during the battle. In one village, an Australian contingent ended up driving off in would-be bandit attack. Apparently, the villagers had been in the process of abandoning their settlement when the bandits attacked and proceeded to not only steal everything they could, but attempt to use some of the local women as entertainment. Fortunately for this riverside village, salvation came when the Australian recon team charged into town and drove off the offenders. An action that very much impressed the townsfolk, who welcomed the strangers as heroes and saviors. But when asked as to why they were leaving, the Australians were told that the emperor had ordered them to not only leave their homes, but destroy them as well. In an attempt to prevent the enemy on Alness Hill, from using their lands to wage war on the empire. This news was disturbing indeed, as it showed that Sidera was willing to do anything and everything possible they believed would slow down the ANF's advance. But in doing so, they were causing the situation to deteriorate in the region even more. Large convoys of refugees would be easy targets for bandit attacks after all. If the ANF was gonna ensure that the Alness Provence would not turn into another Somalia, they were gonna have to deal with this bandit problem before anything else. One battle that needed to be won, was that of hearts and minds. The ANF knew that they were going to be seen as the bad guys by the locals, but if they could win them over, then it would mean that the ANF could gain allies in the special region overall, making their mission that much easier. So far the ANF was able to open up dialogue with the same village the Australians had saved earlier, a Carly village the locals called it. But that was not all. A dragon. A massive dragon was now on the loose in Alness, and from what had been reported, it was monstrous as it was dangerous. Already a joint ANF team had reported that one village had been completely destroyed with only 7 survivors, and now another village was leaving the province because of it. As a result, air patrols were now being conducted in the skies of Alness. So far American and Indian fighters had been scrambled in an attempt to locate said dragon. The Japanese had sent through 6 of their Mitsubishi F-2s, while the Indonesians were in the process of reassembling their Su-30s contingent. Even though the Saderan Empire was no more advanced than ancient Rome, many of Japan's allies were not shy about sending advanced equipment into the special region for further combat against Saderan Empire. Even though Japan was technically leading the operation, the Japanese government had been rather conservative in their approach. With this new information in hand, the force commanders would have to rework their plans and adapt to the developing situation. Sidera would have to wait for the moment. Right now the ANF would have to win control of Alness first. Night has come and the refugees still have the energy to keep going. Thanks to the headlight from the 3rd Recon Team and Combat Support Team vehicles, the refugees can see the road and their surrounding clearly. At first, this convoy have 363 carriages, but after a lot of incident that happens in their trip, the number decreased sharply into 250. All the people whom their carriage is broken and cannot be fixed are being told to wait for another, Kamosh, EFMTV, Unimog, Mitsubishi. Or, IH-Suzu. As they were left behind, the recon team can't just stay there and wait for the truck since they need to escort the remaining refugees to their destination, Italica, which was the capital of the Alness province. But, the QEF will stop when they arrived in a small city called Becton, which is 10 kilometers from the Italica, and let the villagers reach the destination by themselves. Thanks to their fully readiness, 4 trucks, 2 FMTV, 1 Kamaz, and 1 Isuzu their requested have arrived in 30 minutes to pick the refugees and then rejoining the 1st and 3rd Recon Platoon convoy. These trucks are also escorted by a Humvee and mega cruiser in case something bad happened. The bandits or the Imperial Army who attack them could be having a mage who expert at explosion or a strange creature that can ram an IFV in one time. Thanks to the USA experience in Vietnam and Iraq, alongside Russia experience in Chechnya and Afghanistan too. Ambush tactic cannot be underestimated. From the distance, a little girl who wielding a large halberd and seated on an edge of a cliff, looked at the trek of refugees from Kota, Copperkeep, and Colton villages. Otherworld soldiers helping villagers to flee from Deirdreco attack. Interesting, said the mysterious girl. I wonder, what these strange soldiers and their iron giants can really do. She continued her walking following the convoy. Tommy, do every soldiers in the gunner position of your platoon vehicles have wear their night vision goggles? Asked Armstrong via radio. They have, Armstrong. We're all ready to face the hostiles who will attack the convoy, answered Tommy. Good. Just be careful. Watch your sectors. Armstrong let out a calm sigh. Right after Armstrong said that, Ghost Hunter team reported a movement on the west side. 3RT, this is Hunter. We got a movement at 9 o'clock. Centurion stopped, turned and looked by using his helmet's night sights, a dense growth of bushes that littered beneath the trees. There were figures wearing leather and steel armor, melee weapons ranging from swords, daggers, mace and everything else in between. Ambush, roared Centurion, all units, stand by for action. All vehicles, stopped, prepare to repel enemy attack from the left flank. One of the men in the bushes ran forward towards the convoy with a bellowing scream that many soon followed, giving out their position as many more emerged from their hiding with torches lighting their way. Battle alert, shouted Armstrong, all vehicles stop. Protect the refugees at all cost. The men and women under his command went to full alert as they readied their weapon. As the vehicles and carriages stopped, the soldiers jumped out from their trucks and ran by the side of the convoy, taking their position on the ground. Tanks swinged their turrets to the side, as well the gunners of the vehicles. Don't fire without my or General Prime's orders, said Armstrong replied, the cold air growing tense as the new horde showed no signs of stopping. Hunter, this is Strike Leader, said Centurion, bug out right on their flank and capture their leader. I want him alive for questioning. We copy, Strike Leader, answered Ferguson, we're on it, Hunter out. The HMMV drives to the side of the approaching enemy, as Centurion and his team, Shadow Warriors abandoned their cyclones and took position on the ground. Armstrong, said Centurion, your call, give orders to fire, when they're close enough. Roger that, sir, answered Armstrong, all units, stand by. The sprinting grew closer as a few cavalry went forward acting as a vanguard, riding horses with spears held in their hands. Armstrong took note of the rangefinder on his binoculars. 800 meters, 700, steadily climbing down until 500. Fire at will, Armstrong yelled the order, and weapons fire resounded in the air. Light flashed over the darkness courtesy of their firearms, accompanied with red and green tracer rounds that flew at supersonic speeds in a dazzling light show. They ran through the open fields until one of their own had his head blown off, showering the grass and his colleagues with blood and gray matter. Tanks fired their main guns, thundering through the night, while mobile suits fired their helmet-based chain guns. Few slowed down to see what happened only for their lives to be snuffed as well, suffering the same fate as the first casualty. The vanguard took it the worst as 12.7 mm and 7.62 mm rounds soared and decapitated them. The other steeds, ones who'd still left alive and witnessed the horror, reared back and threw their riders behind, leaving them to dead as it galloped off into the forest. Volleys after volleys were sent until the horde showed a visible signs of retreat. Cease fire! Cease fire! Armstrong ordered his men down with a wave of his hand. When the gunfire stopped, he looked back over to the horde. Part of the open fields were now a mess of bodies that had body parts strewn about, the vegetation stained with blood, headless horses twitching on the ground and sounds of the dead and dying men in varying conditions. Then, an HMMV appeared, riding to the nose of the column. As it stopped, Kozak and 30K dragged out a man with bloodied face. Here's the leader of this bunch, sir, said 30K, a really nasty-looking fellow. I'll be the judge of that, answered Centurion, coming to the prisoner. All right you, let's talk. I want to know, who you working for? You'll never make me talk, you savage otherworlder, growled the captured leader. I'll die, before I'll tell you about our leader's plans. Oh, no, said Centurion, then he showed 2 fingers into leader's mouth. What was that you said? I said, started the leader, but then he was shocked. My mouth, it's talking on its own. I've just pressed your special PowerPoints, said Centurion, now your mouth will tell me everything I want to know. Who you working for? Callus Hoba. Who is he? A warlord. Leader of the Cobalt Pincers. What's he's planning to do? Don't know, he doesn't trust anyone, only himself. All I know is that he's planning something big, that's why he's joining the rest of the bandit clans in province into his private army. So, he has an army, huh? Where is he now? I don't know, he's always moving. He has no place to live, no country to call home, but he mentioned once that he's wanted to become new lord, since the current position seems to be vacant. That's all I need to know, said Centurion Ferguson, get rid of this piece of trash. My pleasure, sir, grinned Ferguson. He pulled out his pistol and fired into leader's head, killing him. The villagers couldn't believe what they just see. The rumor about dangerous bandit groups who will raid an innocent civilians convoy has been defeated just in a seconds by these otherworld soldiers. Meanwhile from the distance, the same little girl who wielded a halberd, complimented the ANF's actions against the bandits while clapping and standing at the cliff edge. You are worthy to be allied, otherworlders, said the girl. After praising the ANF, she laughs maniacally because of the bloodshed and the fallen souls. Unknown to her, a small drone seen the girl. Its transmission were sended to Skip and Centurion. General, said Skip, should we eliminate her? Negative, Skip, answered Centurion, something tells me, that's one of the local apostle watching over us. An apostle? Yes. You see, all the gods in this world have their apostles, who enforces the will of their lords. They walk around the mortals, helping them or sometime interfere, when someone messes with the god's authority. My guess is that now one of the apostle was been given the task to watch over us. So, what shall we do about her? Nothing. I've got a feeling, soon we'll meet her personally. During that night a group of bandits were camping somewhere on the countryside. They have raided local farmstead, killed all the men and raped all the women, before killing them as well. Being satisfied with their loot and satisfaction, they were planning what to hit next. I vote that we raid the local landlord mansion. Ever since Alnus Hill battle the imperial presence here has diminished. I say that we take this entire land for ourselves and become lords as well. Rest of the bandits cheered to his proposal. I don't know about that. I say we stick to the safer plan and raid next several farmsteads. And then, we use the acquired good to get some serious weapons and armor. And then we strike. This suggestion initiated a soft debate between few of them. A third voice then appeared. I suggest that we join the local bandit lord. The rumors say that he is planning something big very soon. That news really interested the rest of the bandits. Oh really? And what would that be? Well, as I heard it, he's planning to gather a powerful army, so then he can attack the city of Italica, where Formal family resided. Once he take over the Formals, he can impose the new rules, that makes us the new lords. Really? You bet. And he's also got plenty of connections with Italica's traders, who's also unhappy with formal laws, that forbids them to take demi-humans into slavery. Once he becomes new ruler, he's gonna put the new laws, that allows free slave trading in Alnus. And what about the emperor? Who cares about the old fart? He's a loser, can't even defeat those other worlders. No, once Callus Hoba get controls over Italica, he'll be the one the emperor be forced to cooperate with it. And thus we'll become new lords, grinned one of the bandits, not Ba. He never gets to finish his sentence as the upper part of his head got sliced and flew away. The rest of his body fell down on the ground, revealing dark figure yielding a gigantic axe behind him. The rest of the bandits jumped and readied their weapons, few swords, one bow and several daggers. Who are you? One of them asks. They all got nervous when sinister laugh came as their answer. You don't need to know that, as you will not be alive for much longer. The shadowy figure got closer to the campfire, illuminating itself. It was a kid, a small girl. She is clad in gothic black dress and carries an axe that is twice of her size. Her small red eyes and sinister smile sends chill down the spine of every bandit. It's Rory Mercury, one of them said, shivering in fear. The Apostle of Emroy. Second one said so and started to run as soon as he finished his sentence. The others followed his example. Run for it, screamed one of the bandits. Oh no, answered Rory, you're not going anywhere. The god once said, every man shall die someday, so you can't run. Mercy, the third one shouted as he run. Rory just stood there and watched as the bandits ran from her. Mercy. Just like you showed mercy to that farmer and his family. Emroy will get few more souls tonight, such is my decree." A moment later and she disappeared. Few of the bandits saw that and became even more nervous. Then one of them yelled. His body sliced in two by her gigantic axe. The next one briefly saw her appearing him before his head rolled on the ground. One of the bandits decided to stand his ground and he readied his sword. Rory appeared before him shortly afterwards. It seems that not all bandits are cowards. "Shut up," he yelled and swinged his sword toward her, an attack she easily blocked. Few more attacks followed. Rory saw they were an act of desperation. "This is bothersome," she said, and then proceeded to cut the bandits' hands, sent them flying together with the sword still in them. The bandit screamed, only to fall silent after Rory cut him in half with one swift swing from between his legs up to the tip of his head. There was only few bandits left alive, and Rory licked his lips before heading out to kill the rest of them. Once the justice has been done, she proceeded in digging the graves for the farmers' victims and initiating prayers to Emroy after she buried them. The bodies of bandits have been dismembered and left on the field to rot. Such was a fate of lowlifes and bandits. "You've done well, Rory," spoke the voice unseen. "These criminals do not respect Emroy, so now I shall gather their souls for eternal torture." "Thank you, my lord," replied Rory. "But now, it is time for you to join with the man with the fist of the North Star," said the voice. "Hardy's not playing fair. She's awakened the flame dragon, which supposed to be rest for the next 30 years. "Why did she do that, my lord?" asked Rory. "I don't know, Rory, she's obviously has her own agenda, as usual. The gods are unhappy by her recklessness and interference with their plans. They need someone who can finally put Hardy back into her proper place. Like the man with the fist of the North Star. Yes. You see, Rory, despite being himself a mortal, this man has capability to become to manifestation of two gods of his world, the goddess of battle Indra and the god of the death. That sounds almost like you, my lord." "Precisely. But this man is also incredibly humane. In fact, there's no other human on his world who has more stronger heart than he does. And that is why he's the perfect candidate to settle things in Falmart and to punish Hardy, as well to save the world." "Save the world, my lord? What do you mean?" "I cannot tell you everything right now, Rory. All will be revealed soon enough. Right now, you must concentrate of finding the man with the fist of the North Star and joining with him. All our hopes depends on your success, Rory." "I understand, my lord. May your will be done, as always." It was already around noon and the heat has started to affect Centurion. Luckily, his Hayabusa armor was been equipped with the microclimate conditions to optimize his body heat, as well the other members of the Shadow Warriors team. Unfortunately, the other members of the 3rd Recon team and combat support team wasn't so lucky, not to mention the villagers. "Damn this heat," he complained, "just our luck. Right after the rain last night, the road became muddy and the heat is like an Arizona desert." "At least it's not like the Africa, sir," said Haruka. "I heard, poor tank drivers couldn't handle being more than 15 minutes in the tank." "At least we are lucky enough to have our Mjolnir heavy assault armor," added Michiru. "Yeah, but the rest of the teams and those villagers aren't so lucky," said Centurion. "Well, I guess we don't have other choice. We need to help these guys sustain this goddamned heat, or by the time that dragon might appear, they'll be too weak to fight." "Okay, Commander," said Setsuna. "Williams, you better take the front guard, we're going to help others back at the convoy." "Roger that, Lieutenant Colonel," answered Williams. Centurion and his team turned and drove to the rear of the convoy, while Tanker 6 continued to go forward. "Just received word, Starbase has scrambled jets to locate and intercept that dragon," said Williams into his radio, as he communicated with the rest of the recon team. "They've already got birds in the air," Kuwahara interjected. Rather surprised that Fort Ginza now had jet fighters in action. "What they sent up?" "F-18s and French Rafales," replied the corporal. "They said in pair fighters will be giving us cover if that thing shows up before we can get these people to safety. Looks like command isn't taking any chances with that giant fire-breathing dragon around," replied Itami. "Can't blame them though. How those elves doing back there?" "Kurokawa says they should be up and around pretty soon," replied the lieutenant, as he glanced back at the ratchet right behind them. A few hours had passed since morning, and though it was slow going, the 100-plus wagon-strong column was moving rather smoothly. This flame dragon really had the villagers in a panic, so much so, they were willing to abandon their village in an attempt to flee to safety. Upon informing Fort Ginza of their situation, command ordered 3rd Recon Team to stay with the refugees and escort them until they made it out of the province. As a result, the ACV had moved up to the front of the column followed by Itami's Toyota, with the Mitsubishi Type 73 in the middle of the convoy. While the LAV brought up the rear with its heavy machine gun scanning the area for any signs of trouble. All during this time, the Joint Recon Team whatever they could to help the column move along. If a wagon got stuck in the mud, the two teams would try to pull them out. If someone got heat stroke or dehydrated, the team medic would see to them. If morale got low, well, lower than they already were, either the Americans or Japanese would try to lift spirits by either telling short stories or singing songs for the villagers. I see a little silhouette of a man. Scaramouche, Scaramouche, will you do the fandango? Thunderbolt and lightning, very very frightening me. Galileo, 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 Figaro, Magnifico. All in all, it was proving to be an rather uneventful trip. This was probably the last day they'll reach the Becton, but the trip became worse as the weather started to become hot, and their position was still 83 kilometers away from the destination. Estimation time was about 7 to 8 hours due to the slow movement of the convoy carriages. Even though the ANF vehicles were much faster, but they patiently drive alongside the refugees with the same speed. It must be exhausting for them to move from their village like this, commented Baker to Conrad. I bet they'll probably stay on the run until they know that Deirdrico isn't coming for them, replied Conrad, resting his arms behind his head. It's just like Iraq and Yugoslavia all over again, said Baker. Another problem coming out now for the refugees, some of their carriages were now getting stuck inside the mud. The villagers were desperately command their horse to get out from the mud quickly and tried to push it from behind. Melissa, go. Now, said the man who probably Melissa's husband. It won't move. Please somebody help us, said Melissa who is now feel hopeless. Dear God, why do you exist if you don't save anybody? Suddenly, the ANF soldiers that consisted of Kuribayashi, Kramer, Zakrevsky and Griggs were now helping Melissa's carriage and being watched by Armstrong and Kuwahara to see them doing their orders. It's stuck because of the weight and mud, said Kuwahara. Come on, push it. Hey, Armstrong, Kuwahara, said Centurion, arriving with his team, you guys need any hands? It'll be appreciated, sir, smiled Sergeant Major. You got it, old school, said Centurion. Haruka, armor mode. Both he and Haruka flipped switches on the handles of their cyclones, which transformed into their armor. Melissa and her husband gasped as they watched the strange knights transform their horses into armor. Then Centurion and Haruka joined them on either side of the carriage. All right, team, said Centurion, all together. 1, 2, 3, heave ho. Come on, you guys. Show what you're made of. Put your backs into it, boys, yelled Armstrong to them. With the combined effort, the carriage was been pushed out of the mudhole. You guys shouldn't. Melissa felt bad as these soldiers were initiative to help her, but the soldiers replied her worries with smiling. Reacted to that, Melissa said thanks to these ANF soldiers. Because of this, a murmur of some villagers about comparing these soldiers and imperial soldiers can be heard audibly. Who are these people really? Who knows, must be some soldiers. Hey, they're the ones who warned our villages about the Deirdrico. Makes them already better than the guys from the Empire. Meanwhile in Ratchet, all 5 elves they were rescued were now sitting and sleeping peacefully in there alongside 9 villagers who just lost their carriage because of the accident that just happened recently. The 2 children, 1 boy and 1 girl, who were one of the 9 villagers that inside the Autobot, were feel amazed by the vehicle they were currently in. This was the first time for them to feel the experience of riding a horseless transportation. While on the USMC's Humvee, Montez was once again trying to entertain the children he met from the Colton village. Right now, they were watching a movie called Back to the Future on Montez's computer tablet. Doc, that's a risk you'll have to take, your life depends on it, said the boy in an puffer vest. No, I refuse to accept the responsibility, replied the doc. Before they watched the movie together, Montez explained to them the meaning of television and movie with a simplistic summary. Little by little, unbeknownst to them, they are indirectly learning about the technology and culture that other side of the gate have. General, may I ask something? Asked Tikhomirov. Go on, Leonid. It's almost lunchtime. If you don't mind, I would like to go to one of our trucks and eat something. Okay, you can go. Take Basarova with you and check out how's the locals are doing. Also see that some of local kids gets feed as well. Yes, sir. Centurion then drive to one of the trucks, where he saw 3 little kids together with Lele and the blonde elf that they saved yesterday. All of the passengers on back seat cannot hold their amazement of riding in the horseless transport. Are you all right, miss? Centurion asked Tuka. Oh, she started, I'm fine. I'd just like to thank you for saving myself and my family. Ah, it was nothing, replied Centurion, we just happened to be at the right place at the right time, as usual. By the way, are you and your people are really elves? Oh, surprised Tuka. If you are asking this, I presume that elves do not exist on your side of the gate, asked Lele. Only humans, answered Centurion. We might assume that there are other beings in our world, but so far, our scientists wasn't able to prove that. Please, I wish to learn more about your world, asked Lele, with the excitement in her eyes. There are many things considering our world you really do not wish to know, said Centurion. By the way, are you that young mage, who helped me saving that girl's life yesterday? Yes, I am. My name is Lele Lalina. I am a mage apprentice with my grandfather Sage Kato as my teacher. And the old woman and the other girl at your carriage. Who are they? They're Mimosa Lemaire, she's the wife of my grandfather, also a sage. And the other girl is Arpeggio L. Lalina, my sister. I see. So, you're a regular family of sages, huh? Yes, I am just a beginner, but my magic level can go up to medium level as far as some spells go. I am guessing that you are also a scholar, asked Setsuna. Lele sensed great interests coming from that woman. Her eyes, which were hidden behind the helmet, were staring at her with anticipation. That is correct. As magical apprentice, it is my job to learn as much as I can. And because of that you also harbor great knowledge. That is also correct. Setsuna was examining her. She may be girl, 15 or 16 years old, but her way of thinking and her serious stance is making her appear much more mature. The village chieftain said that he will make sure someone talks to me regarding the transfer of information, but I never imagined it would be someone like you. Are you concerned that I am not up to the task because of my age? How ODL are you exactly? Asked Setsuna. About 15 years old. Really? You sound like you have double that age. Please, despite my age I am very dependable and hardworking. I would love to work with you and help in any way I can. Setsuna was surprised by her seriousness. The look in her blue eyes were not lying. I have no doubts about your abilities, you must forgive me, but I am man that prefers old ways of thinking. To me you should be playing with other kids, not devote yourself to something so serious so early. Lele was closely listening to Setsuna, but I guess things works differently here. It will be an honor to work with you if you are half as good as you claim you are. I am, you can be sure of that. Centurion was happy to hear her say that. Her devotion won him over. We shall see then. He turns his attention to the blonde elf. How about you, miss? What is your name? My name is Tuka Luna Marceau, she answers after slight delay, being caught in the moment. Tell me, Tuka, are you feeling well today? I do, thank you once again. Do you have somewhere to go to, family or friends that live outside your village? To that question Tuka bowed her head. That reaction was everything Centurion needed to know the situation. That village was everything to her and she has lost it the moment that dragon appeared. Don't be sad, Tuka, you are safe now. If you do not have anywhere to go, then you are free to live with us until you find new home one day. I cannot fulfill the role of your lover or your parents, but at least I can offer some sanctuary. Tuka became very happy after hearing that proposal. Her eyes are on verge of tears. Thank you, my friend, she said. Anytime, smiled Centurion. Wow, you are awesome, mister, one of the little kids sitting between Tuka and Lele declared so. Yes, you are so good, mister. Little girl sitting next to him cheered. Great guy, the last kid said so as well. Well, giggled Michiru, you got a little fan club and a kid all in the same package, Kiro-chan. What can I say? Shrugged his shoulder Centurion. I know how to get in touch with other people's hearts. That's how I fight my wars, by touching the people's hearts, so I can find new allies. General, suddenly heard Williams's voice. What is it, Corporal? We got company, several men on horseback blocking our way near the river. River trolls, said Lele. Who's that? Asked Centurion. That's what the name of these bandits. They hide near the river and attack anyone who tries to cross it. I see, said Centurion, getting serious. Williams, stand by, we're coming to you. Roger that, sir. Centurion and his team drive to the front of the column. As they arrived to the front of the column, Centurion saw several armed men on horses, all seemed to have some kind of a war paint on them. Who are you? Asked Centurion, why are you blocking our way? That's none of your business, sir, answered the leader of the river trolls, it's what we want from these people. These people have nothing you seek, said Centurion, leave now or face the consequences. We heard it, you've got several elves, said the leader, we want them. What for? So we can sell them for money, chuckled the leader, while others laughed. You will get no slaves from us, answered Centurion, getting off his cyclone, this is your last warning, leave now, or I'll be forced to kill you. No one dares to challenge the river trolls, growled the leader, unsheathing his sword. Sir, said Skip's voice, should we take them? Negative, answered Centurion, cracking his fists, they're mine. It's morning, and I just about to start my morning exercise. And just so happened, these bozos here are perfect dummies for my training. As you wish, sir, said Skip, rock 'em and sock 'em. You got it, said Centurion, all right, you primitive screwheads. Give me your best shot. One of the river trolls righted to him, raising his sword, but Centurion jumped and hit the bandit, causing him to explode. The leader then swinged his sword at Centurion, but Centurion grabbed his sword and brake it. He then swinged his fist and hit the leader's midsection, causing his back to explode. The other bandits were watching the battle with shock. He killed Turin, one of them muttered. He's not human, shivered another. Leave, said Centurion, glaring at them, or you'll join your leader in the underworld. Shit, screamed another bandit, he's more scarier than Rory the Reaper. Run for it, screamed another. All bandits then turned and rided away as fast as they can, while Centurion returned to his team. Neatly done, Commander, said Haruka. Yup, just as usual, said Michiru. Thanks, guys, said Centurion, now come on, we've wasted enough times with this delay. Let's roll. Later on, one of the carriages broke. Centurion and others examined it. No good, sir, said Wolverine, examining the damage, the axle's gone. This wagon isn't going anywhere. If we stay here, said Albert, we'll risk ourselves to be either attacked or killed. You better put everything you have with you and leave. Don't worry, said Armstrong, we've got enough space in one of our trucks. They can put everything they have in it. All right, said Centurion, organize men and get going. I want that carriage empty and the column moving in 30 minutes. Time has started. Yes, sir, saluted Armstrong. Thank you, said the carriage owner, thank you so much. No need to thank us, answered Centurion, we just helping you the same way you helped us. Now hurry, we don't have much time. 30 minutes later, the column was back on the move. You know, I'm surprised that the enemy isn't making their moves to stop us, said Atami, technically, we've passed way behind enemy lines. In case if you've forgotten, Atami, answered Centurion, we've destroyed all major forces the Empire has in this area, including the local garrisons, which they so foolishly pushed to the Alnus. The only ones left are small leftovers of those garrisons in their major city, Italica. Which is exactly where we're going, asked Armstrong. Precisely, said Centurion, so even if they've got some recon teams or patrols in this area, it'll be long time before they can muster any of their forces to attack us. By the time they'll gather enough men, we'll be long gone. I hope you're right about that, sir, said Atami. Getting into Ratchet, Taylor smiled at Kurakawa, who was still tending to the girl identified as Tuka while the other elves and 3 curious local boys looked on. He then turned to Ainair. Fortunately, Ainair and her son both understood Populary. This made conversation at least possible, although awkward since no one was speaking in his or her native language. How are you? Asked Taylor in that shared tongue. Ainair looked at her son who was resting peacefully by her side. I am alive and with the most precious thing in my world safe by my side. I would say that makes me very happy, even with what we've lost. She ventured a warm smile. And what land do you people come from? You certainly aren't from Kota village, nor from the Empire, I would say. We come from lands far away. You come from beyond the sacred beginning then. The gate you mean? Yes. Though I have not seen it open in my span, my father told stories of meeting men from beyond the gate. Well, it appears that someone sent an army through that gate and into the land of Japan, whence most of the soldiers here are from. We have come to explain to them this was not a good idea. I see. And what will you do with the lands you conquer? We aren't here to conquer, though we intend to hold on to this gate to make certain another such transgression doesn't occur. And the people of these lands? How will you treat them? To those who will only accept war, we can only give war, and war is something we have learned horribly well. But to those who would offer us friendship, then I only hope our leaders will choose to act as friends. He glanced at Kurakawa, as we wish to be his friends. General, suddenly Haruka pointed forward, we got someone at the road. Centurion looked and saw a small girl in black Gothic dress with halberd. So, he said, looks like she's finally decided to meet us. You know this girl, Commander? Asked Michiru. No, but I do know. Who is she? Answered Centurion. Before beginning of the operation, Stargate, I've asked Lady Octavia about the religions in her land, and here's what she told me about it. For these people, the gods of their world are not a question of belief or faith as they are in our world. They are a part of these people's lives, and their apostles walk among them. People ask for their favor, but the gods do as they wish and their apostles carry out those wishes. I see, said Haruka. So, what now? We just wait, until our mystery guest reveals herself, answered Centurion. She's been watching us last night during the battle with those bandits. Now, I guess, she decided to introduce to us live and personal. General, said Williams, what you want us to do? Do not provoke anything that might start the conflict, answered Centurion. Maintain your surveillance and do not attack the girl in black clothing. That's an order. Yes, sir. An oracle, one of the kids shouted and drew Centurion's attention. Oracle? He asked, but received no answer. The kids rushed toward the black figure. So this is Rory Mercury, said Lele, appearing at Centurion's side. Wow, gasped Tuka, appearing near her, seemed amazed by the figure. I've heard of her, said Centurion. She's an apostle to Emroy, the god of war, death, madness, crime and punishment. Should we expect any problems from her? Despite her looks, she is actually not a bad person. And she will never hurt innocent people, so as long as we are not doing anything unlawful we should be alright. A code of honor, eh? I like it, smiled Centurion and get off his cyclone, then walked to the girl. Commander, said Haruka. Stay here, I'll handle this, answered Centurion, continuing his walking. Out in front of the convoy, the children and several other villagers rushed to greet the oracle. These people she greeted in a manner appearing most friendly as she repeated her first question to them. It's the oracle. Oracle, yelled the children, as they happily ran out of the Humvee and ran towards the girl with the axe, much to the surprise of the recon team. The soldiers and marines could only look on in wonder, as they watched the villagers kneel before the girl and casually interacted with her. Apparently this child was held in high reverence among the people, and from the looks of things, the locals had no fear of her. Rory, for her part, was rather fascinated by these strangers and their contraptions. In reality, she had been watching these otherworlders for quite some time. Ever since she initially heard stories about them from the survivors of the Battle of Alnus Hill, the demi-goddess wondered just what kind of people would possess such power that they would be able to decimate numerous imperial garrisons. But from what she had seen and from what the villagers were now telling her, the otherworlders were not the cold-blooded barbarians the legionnaires had painted them as. Anyone else notice like they are praying to her? Williams asked over the radio, truly puzzled by what he was seeing. That's exactly what they're doing, answered Centurion over the radio. She's an apostle of Emroy, god of the war and death. Practically, she's the demi-goddess. Whoa, gasped Puller, and we thought, she's just a gothic Lolita girl. Sir, be careful with her, said Atami. Don't worry, answered Centurion, just stay put and let me handle this. last thing we need is to start a conflict between us and the gods of this world. So stay put, that's an order. Yes, sir. Rory smiled as she saw several little kids rushing toward her. Greetings little ones, she proceeds to pet the nearest kid. Tell me, where are you from? I'm from Kota, answer the kid from Kota village. And I from Copperkeep, the Copperkeep village kid answer the girl's question. I come from the Coldton village, said the kid from Coldton village and the last answer for her. We fled from the village together to avoid the flame dragon, Apostle Rory, said one of the older villagers to the girl, kneeling at her and hold her hands praying. Deirdre the flame dragon was seen in this parts, said Ambois the village chief, that's why we're moving toward Italica for safety. Fire dragon she asked, starting to slowly walk toward convoy. Yes Oracle, it has already destroyed an elf village at the edge of the forest. Luckily for us these strangers offered to escort us to Italica, the kid point fingers to Centruin, Ho was walking towards Rory. It sparked Rory's interest the moment she saw him. So they are not forcing you all to go along, asked Rory to the children's. No, they're helping us to escape, answer the children. Ah, I see. Rory close her eyes as a sign that she is understand, then. I wonder, how is this thing moving? I'd like to know as well. But riding in it feels much better than with a carriage. Ah, Rory. It's good to see you again, Mimosa greeted cheerfully at Rory. Mimosa. You're still the same after 30 years past, Rory replied with a smile. Do this people help you, by the way? Yes, they are helping us. They even gave us some foods in this strange package just in case we got hungry in the middle of the trip. So my judgment was true, thought Rory. Then she meets Centurion face to face. Greetings, young lady, said Centurion, on behalf of my forces I welcome you. Such politeness, smiled Rory, are you always this nice with women? I am a military officer after all, ma'am, answered Centurion, it is common for me to have good manners. Part of my creed is to be polite toward women. I see, she throws a look at the rest of the convoy, so you are really helping these people. Of course, we cannot not leave them alone, while that beast in the sky is roaming around. Plus, this area is full of bandits, several of them already tried to attack us. That's why we're making sure that none of the villagers get hurt while on their journey. By the way, asked Rory, are there men with the fist of the North Star among you? She knows about Centurion's secret powers, gasped Michiru. So that means, the gods has sended her to find Commander, replied Haruka, but why? Just remember to stay put, said Setsuna, let the commander handle this. I just hope, you're right, replied Haruka, that girl seems to be more than meets the eye. If you're looking for the man with the fist of the North Star, said Centurion, you found him. Rory then looked at Centurion once more. You seem to be not much strong, she said. Looks can be deceiving, answered Centurion, the fist of the North Star you speak of, or Hokuto Shinken, is an assassination art that has been passed for 2,000 years of generations. I've inherited this art from my master, who was 64th Genshosha of Hokuto Shinken. So you're 65th, said Rory. Exactly, answered Centurion, this art allows me to destroy my opponent from within their bodies, not from outside. It also allows me to tap into my full 100% of my body powers, thus making me stronger. Rory then grinned wickedly. Then show me what you can really do, man with the fist of the North Star, she said. Gladly, answered Centurion. Another moment later, Centurion and Rory faced each other at the side of Toyota's megacruiser's hood. Centurion put his hand on the hood, as well Rory, and they clasped each other's hands. Then they begin to arm wrestling, with all the soldiers, marines, villagers, children, Tuka, Lele, Mimosa and others watched with awe. Both Centurion and Rory put all their strength, but neither of them could gain the advantage in the fight. Then, Centurion started to push Rory's hand to the side. Rory surprised to find out that this mortal man is quite strong. Finally, Centurion putted her arm to the hood, thus winning the match. Impressive, smiled Rory, no mortal ever could beat me in such contest. That's because even by your great powers, answered Centurion, you're still using 30% of your body powers, but Hokuto Shinken allows me to tap into the rest of 70% of my body power. Even if you're a demi-goddess, Rory, you're still partially human. Rory then looked at him with surprise. "How did you know my name?" she asked. "I've made my homework about you," answered Centurion. "I've been gathering information about this world's religious figures, like the gods and their apostles. You're quite prominent among them, Rory the Reaper." "Rory the Reaper?" surprised Atami. "Is that how they call her?" "Sounds like a regular religious figure to me," answered Taylor. "Also," said Centurion, "I've noticed you're spying at us. You've seemed to be watching me and my men for some time. So that means, our meet here was no accident, Rory. You've seeked me for a purpose, and I wanna know why." "You're quite smart man, Centurion Prime," smiled Rory. "It's true, that I did seek you, but let's leave that part after we help these villagers, shall we?" "Agreed," said Centurion. Then he came and picked Rory's halberd. "That's quite heavy," he said. "What metal is it made of?" "From a fallen star," answered Rory. Osmium," said Centurion. "No wonder it weighed at least 3 tons. 3 tons, screamed Atami. "No way. I'm not kidding," answered Centurion. Then he dropped the halberd on the ground, which landed with a loud thud. "Whoa," gasped Williams, "that sounds like a steel wrecking ball landed, sir." "Like I said," answered Centurion, "it weighed about 3 tons, which means our guest here is strong enough to lift an HMMV with passengers." "She's that strong," gasped Kenny. "Wow, she can give Superman a real run for his money." "But what about her durability?" asked Skip. "If she's actually that strong, then she must be." "You guessed it," answered Centurion, "she's immortal, which means, neither our bullets nor swords can harm her. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised, if we cut off her head, and she would pull it back together in few seconds without any damage to her body. She's practically cannot die." "Now I've heard everything," groaned Armstrong. "So, what now, sir?" "Well, considering that Miss Mercury here has offered her help to protect the refugees," answered Centurion, "I'd say, we should accept it and take her with us." "That sounds real great, Commander," smiled Rory. "Shall we go then?" "Right," said Centurion. "All right, you people, into your vehicles. Let's move." "Yes, sir," answered the soldiers and rushed to their vehicles. Centurion then walked to his cyclone and seated. "Can I seat with you?" asked Rory. "Why not?" answered Centurion. "Just remember to get off, once I turned it to armor mode." "Armor mode?" surprised Rory. Centurion then flipped the switch and turned the cyclone into his armor. Rory then gasped to see, as what appeared to be a 2-wheeled contraption has become a powerful suit of armor. Then, Centurion transformed it back into cycle mode. "Well," he said, "do you still wanna ride with me, Rory?" "More than ever," smiled Rory. She then jumped behind Centurion's back and held his waist tight. "All right," said Centurion, "let's roll." And the convoy set off again. Centurion noted how all 3 of the girls found riding with them quite enjoying. He was thinking about the 3 girls that are riding with them in convoy. The blonde elf called Tuka has certainly been through hell, and the fact she was a little bit shy means that she must have some mental scarring from that event. In any case, she was with her family and friends now, but all of them needs all the help they can get. Centurion was glad to see her smiling as she talked to the other 2 girls at the present. The blue-haired girl called Lele reminded Centurion of his friend Amy Mizuno, intelligent, idealistic, determined and eager to learn new things, except no so shy, like Amy. Centurion thinked that this girl probably knows too much for her own good. But that was all right as well. This was New World after all, and having intellectuals who can grasp the knowledge of both worlds would be a very positive thing for everyone. She was mage as well. Using her talents for magic, scientists back on Earth could probably develop new technologies which could make their world much safer and better for everyone. The possibilities were endless if the right cards are played. Last, but not least, there was Rory, sitting behind Centurion and still amazed at how Cyclone moves on his own. She was most mysterious of all 3, even if she looked like a girl. Centurion knew that is certainly not the case. She was a religious symbol among the population, and the halberd she carried was not for show either. But she does not seem evil or that much menacing. Nevertheless, if she was as powerful as people around them think, it was wisely to have her as a friend than foe. The convoy continued forward at top speed possible. It was now middle of the day and the sun burned the countryside. The soldiers embarked from their trucks and started giving water bottles to the people in convoy, They brought extra with them, and for the people in the convoy it was more practical to use plastic bottles than buckets to drink. So the people from this village are safe then, herded Centurion the report. Their immune system seems strong enough to protect us from any disease we may carry, answered Conrad, but in future it would be wise to issue general vaccination just to be safe. We cannot be as careless as Spanish were when they were conquering America. Tell me about it, snorted Centurion. If those conquistadores would more cared about the people and not the gold for their king, then the entire Mayan Incas and other civilizations wouldn't vanish from the continent. The way I've heard it, the empire here employed similar tactics to tribes they've conquered in Falmart. Worlds change, but shit stays the same, commented Eric. You said it, said Min. Good thing, we can now do something about it. How much until we reach that town Italica? Asked Centurion. The chief said 1 more day of traveling, answered Armstrong. 1 more day, groaned Tommy, while clearing his forehead with the towel. This heat is going to be the end of me. Some of your people do not handle heat well, Rory asked Centurion. Most of them were born in the countries with less heat conditions, answered Centurion. Only several of them came from similar hot places, like in America or Africa. For example, I live in the place called California, where usually heat temperature at summer is about 40 degrees of heat. So that means, you're more suited for such hot weather. Not exactly. You see, the armor I wear also has the microclimate condition control, which regulates my body temperature. Thanks to it, I can operate in almost any conditions, from hot deserts to cold frostbitten ice regions. In other words, Rory, me and my team are much more than prepared for such hostile environment. That is, the rest of the team aren't so lucky. Well, this area is considered the center of the continent. Up west we have great desert, and on the north we have great forest and mountain chains with eternal snow on their top, Lele stepped in to explain further. Centurion has pictured the image in his head. Giving that explanation logically, we should be in an area similar to that of southeastern Europe but without massive mountain chain. It would be hot but grass fields and large deciduous forests mixed with a bit of pinophyta trees. He then looked to see vast valley of grass again. This is after all a very beautiful world, not claimed by fires of industrialization yet. I wish I have the opportunity to enjoy it a bit before that happens. The peace and tranquility of the Falmart sky was broken with the sounds of powerful jet engines, as a pair of F-18s from VMF 214 shot through the sky at an scene never before seen before in this realm. The 2 aircraft, call signs, Black Sheep 1 and Black Sheep 2 inches, had been in the air for the last 2 hours on a mission neither pilot ever thought they would be on. Then again, no one could have ever guessed that their squadron would be deployed to another world. Their target sounded easy enough to find, a large fire-breathing dragon the size of a jumbo jet that liked to burn down villages. But from their vantage point high above the heavens, it was like finding a needle in a haystack. Sure, the F-18 was packed with advanced sensors and radar systems and had proven its worth ever since being adopted by the Marines. But no one was certain just how one of the most advanced strike fighter in human history would fare against a honest-to-God dragon. Just how does one prepare for such a thing? Besides, was the dragon even still in the province? Ghost Eye to Black Sheep 1. A voice suddenly came over the comm system. It was the voice of Ghost Eye, an E-2D AEW aircraft that had been brought through the gate as well to provide electronic support. After the jets had taken off, the E-2D, which belonged to VAW-115 of the U.S. Navy, soon followed them and took up a holding pattern high above the countryside. Its powerful radar scanning the air for miles and giving the coalition a much-needed eye in the sky for any possible aerial threats. Much like the one they were looking for now. Black Sheep 1 to Ghost Eye, we rest you loud and clear. Colonel Greg, Pappy, Boyington replied, as he continued to scan the horizon. We have a bogey moving at 100 miles per hour southwest of your location, near the border. Ghost Eye replied, as they continued to monitor the unknown contact. Move in to investigate. Copy that, moving to engage. Replied Pappy, as both him and his wingman engaged afterburners and pulled hard left to follow up on the lead. The convoy reached the rocky terrain, that looked like some gorge between the mountains. It's Roche Hill, said Rory, or should be not far from Italica. I don't like it, frowned Centurion, this place looks like perfect for ambush. If the bandits or that dragon will attack us, those refugees aren't gonna have a chance. Attention, all units. Keep your eyes peeled on those hills and stand by to repel the ambush. And keep double on the air as well, that dragon might show up at any time. Warden 2, he called the ADATS operators, that means you. You guys are eyes in the air. Don't let that thing passes unnoticed. Roger that, sir, answered ADATS operators. The rest of you, keep your eyes on the hills. Protect those refugees at all cost. Yes, sir. Michi, have you got a contact with our jets? Copy that, sir, I've got them on channel 12, they're about 3 minutes of flight from our position. Good, I want them to fly here, as soon as that dragon appeared. Yes, sir. You sure taking your job really seriously, said Rory. That's our main job, answered Centurion, protecting the innocent civilians. And I'm not taking any chances. I saw what that thing did to that elven village in Cone, and I'm not gonna allow him to make that tragedy happen again. At this point, inside one of the ADATS M3, the operator was watching the screen of his radar. He then suddenly spotted something big heading their way. Strike leader, this is Warden -2, he shouted, I've got a bogey closing in fast, about 12 miles from our current position. Looks like real big, size about jumbo jet, flying at speed 12 miles per hour. It's him, said Centurion. Warden 2, you have my permission to fire. As soon as the bogey close within range of your missiles, blast him out of the sky. Yes, sir. All units, this is strike leader. The dragon is coming, repeat, the dragon is coming. Everyone prepare for action. Protect the civilians. I want all tanks to assemble with Leopard, BMP-3, Brawlers and Patriots, with mobile suits behind them for close support. Skip, Ferguson, your teams prepare your missiles and launchers. Remember, use heat ammunition only, anything less has no squat on that flying tank. The rest of you, protect the civilians, get them out of the danger zone as fast as you can. Ratchet, Taylor, get into the front of the column, so you can do more help to those civilians. Sir, said Kuwahara, our Komatsu has Panzerfaust 3 RPG, we can use it to hit that dragon. General, said Min, I've got RPG-7 with me, I can use 2. Alright, Min, said Centurion, get into that Komatsu and help Kuwahara fight that dragon. Show him what Vietnamese dragon can really do. Yes, sir. The rest of you knows your duties. Shadow warriors, assemble at my position. Michi, call in those jets, we need air support ASAP. Yes, sir. The ADATS raised their missile launchers and fire the missiles, while the rest of the 3rd Recon team started to help the refugees. Rory was amazed to see smoke streaks coming out of the tubes of those strange things. Then, the missiles hit their target, causing the dragon roar in pain. Then he fell on the ground with loud crash. Fortunately, most of the other carriages started to rush in the directions the ANF soldiers pointed to them, running as soon as they heard the beast's painful roar. There he is, men, shouted Centurion, let's get him. Get that thing away from the civvies, shouted Bullhorn. Fighting such monsters is the tradition of Japan's self-defense forces, yelled Kuwahara, follow us, fellow soldiers. You heard him, Joes, roared Centurion, attack. Yo Joe. Yo Joe, answered other GI. Joes. The dragon then get up and fired his flame breath. His fire managed to hit 2 of the carriages, engulfing them in flames. Few other wagons rolled over, sending some of their passengers into graves as their spines and necks broke under the weight of the cargo or by falling on the ground violently. Children who were so happy just minutes before started screaming and running in any direction they could to avoid Dragon's wrath. He hit the rear of the convoy, shouted Armstrong. Williams, get there fast as you can and help those civilians, ordered Centurion. Roger that, sir, answered Williams, as Tanker 6 rolled to the carriage's wreck site. It was then Rory jumped from the back of Centurion and ran towards the dragon. What's that crazy girl is up to? Shouted Hutch. Don't know, but we better help them the best way we can, answered Centurion. Havocs, alligators, I want you to attack the dragon's sides, maybe that'll distract him from hitting those refugees. STOROZH-1, Roger, answered KA-52 Squad Captain. Hunter -1, Roger, answered Michigan 28 Squad Captain. Rory stopped and looked at the beast, it was standing before them and was preparing to shoot its deadly flames once again. I am no expert, but I think I can create a barrier that could protect you for a few moments at least, Lele declared. So, Rory can see determination in her eyes and blue light illuminating from her staff. Near them Tuka grabbed old bow and few arrows. I am pretty under-equipped for something like this, but I can at least try to draw its attention, she said as she moved the arrow on the bow, stretching its strings and checking its limits. It is not in such a bad shape, but she would rather not have the strings snap in most crucial time. I see. Well then, I will count on two of you to aid me, Rory said so as she looked once more at the huge beast was just about to unleash another stream of fire upon the convoy. If only we could distract it. Suddenly, explosions appeared at the chest and belly of the dragon, who roared in pain. Then, the girls heard thunderous noises, with several more explosions appeared at the dragon. These explosions really hurt the dragon. Rory then turned and saw the iron beasts with large snouts, which continued to release fire from them with the familiar sounds. Behind them, the iron giants also fired their shoulder-mounted guns and held weapons, but instead they fired beams of light, which done a specifical amount of damage to the dragon's scales. That's it, keep it up, shouted Centurion, don't let that thing hit those carriages. Make him concentrate on us. Michi, where are those jets? They should be here in 30 seconds, sir. Tell them to use anti-tank weapons, it's the only thing it will hurt this bastard. Fire breath incoming, shouted Pepper, scatter. As soon as the dragon released his fire breath, the ANF tanks and other vehicles quickly dispersed, successfully avoiding the fire. Then Ka-52 and Michigan 28 helicopters came from both sides of the dragon and fired their missiles, successfully damaging the beast. Sir, if that thing's fire hit any one of us, we're toast, shouted Rock and Roll. Then let's make a toast of our own, answered Centurion, Skip, Ferguson, Kuahara, Salvo. Get closer to that dragon and use your missiles. Yes, sir, answered Skip. Roger that, sir, answered Salvo. You got it, sir, answered Ferguson. Ryakai, yes, sir, said Kuahara. Down Beast tried to rise slowly. The pain in his body was barely sufferable, he was now spilling blood, but more than pain was his rage. Revenge for the ones who dare to hurt it. The dragon focused its remaining right eye, trying to take a glimpse on what could try to hurt him, but then, his right eye saw an arrow flying right toward it, and the next moment it hit its target. The dragon roared in pain and started rolling around. It was then that three humanoid figures standed to face it. Dragon was blind now, but its hearing sense was still sharp. He felt that his enemies were right in front of him. Sorry, but that was all I could manage. The bow snapped right after I released the arrow. Good work Tuka, you've blinded him and gave us much bigger chance. Leave it to us now, said Lele to Tuka as she started chanting her magic. Meanwhile, Rory stood in front of the wounded dragon, ready to face it in battle. Hi. It seems that I will be entertained today. And by fire dragon no less, Rory licked her upper lip as she made her battle stance. Lele formed magical shield in front of Rory just as about the dragon is preparing to fire his deadly blast again. Sorry, but this is the best I can do. I cannot guarantee that it will hold attack as powerful as this one. Don't worry, it will be enough for me to strike the killing blow. Rory prepared as dragon was just about to unleash its deadly flame. But just as the dragon was about to fire his attack, something happened. Huge explosion happened and the dragon was knocked down to the ground, roaring in pain again. Then the smoke cleared, one could now see that the creature's ribs were now exposed to the outside world. Moments later, a pair of F-18s screamed overhead and above the wounded beast. Cheers could be heard coming from the ANF soldiers, as they could see the carnage unfold before them. While the villagers could only look on in wonder as the fighters came around again and unleashed another volley of missiles. This time followed up with cannon fire for good measure. Villagers, Rory, Lele and Tuka were astonished to see metallic birds pass above them in such speed. They never saw anything like it. Yes, Centurion cheered as the jets finally arrived and unleashed their deadly weapons. But it seems that they first decided to use standard air-to-air missiles as Dragon was not hurt at all, only thrown aside and disoriented. They will probably use anti-tank missiles once they made a turn, he thought. In the same time 4 small vehicles approached the Dragon. Backblast clear, shouted Min. All set, said 30K. Locked on target, said Salvo. Ready to fire, said Sparks. Fire, ordered Centurion, and ANF soldiers opened fire. 9 rockets flied toward blind and disoriented beast and hit it in various areas from neck to tail. The creature is screaming in pain and start rolling around in frenzy. Shadow Warriors, ordered Centurion, transform and attack. All Shadow Warriors transformed their cyclones into hovercraft mode and started fire their beam weapons at the dragon. Centurion fired his wrist-mounted missiles, while Michiru fired her grenade launcher, and Haruka fired her shoulder-mounted missiles. Other Shadow Warriors used their own weapons to attack the dragon, who was now roaring in constant pain. Then, another loud sound soon appeared and volley of projectiles, big and small, started raining on the dragon. Villagers looked above and saw 4 metal beasts in the air. These ones was much bigger than the ones that flew just now, although a little bit different in shape, and their noses unleashes fire. All of the villagers were fascinated to see something like this. It was like death incarnate appearing to punish the breast who dared to anger the men in green. "All right," shouted Haruka, seeing pair of A-10As, "the warthogs are here." "And frogfoots," said Setsuna, seeing 2 Su-39s. By now the once ferocious fire dragon was in full panic and attempted to fly away from its tormentors as fast as it could. But little did the beast realize that this desert would also be its final resting place, as no sooner had it gotten airborne, more missiles struck the creature. This time compliments of a air of Indian Su-30s that had joined the fight. Said missiles quite literally blowing the creature's wings off its body and sending it to the hard desert surface. Not wanting to be left out, Recon 3 tanks continued to circle the beat and fired their weapons into it. Rory could not even comprehend just what she was witnessing right now, as the demi-goddess looked on at the carnage that was taking place. As an apostle to the god of war, Rory had seen more than her fair share of wars and battles in her lifetime. She had seen entire armies wiped out, kingdoms rise and fall, but never in her life she had witnessed such bravery from so few men and women. Not even Sidera would ever dream of taking on a fire dragon unless they had a sizable army to do so. But here were their men in green who not only charged the beast, but did so in an attempt to save villagers they hardly even knew. Maybe there was much more to these other worlders than meets the eye. The fire dragon attempted to launch one more flame attack in an attempt to save itself from destruction, but this one last act of defiance would never come to be, as a combined missile attack from the joint American-Indian-Russian air group sealed its fate. The missiles hit and a large fire and smoke cloud engulfed the beast. The dragon released cry of pain and suffering. Moments later another one, much bigger fire and explosion occurred. This time dragon said nothing. His head could be clearly seen flying off to the side, detached from his body. The resulting explosion engulfing the entire creature in a ball of flame, and once it cleared, the flame dragon was no more. Its head completely missing, as more of its innards were now exposed. Few moments later the Allied jets flew over the battlefield, preparing to make one more turn to make sure the creature is dead. But the creature is indeed dead. Once smoke cleared a bit, everyone could see dragon parts scattered all around the field. Gigantic crater was left in the place where the beast once stood. Cautiously, 3rd Recon moved in on the carcass and dismounted their vehicles to investigate the scene, while the jets and helicopters orbited above and their pilots with fingers on the trigger. Everything was quiet, as Centurion made his way up to the beast and rested his hand on its chest. There was a moment of silence and he heard no pulse or anything that signaled that it was still alive. "It's dead," he shouted, "we killed it." "Yo Joe," shouted the Joes and Shadow Warriors. The Allied troops started to cheer and hug between themselves, congratulating on a job well done. "You," Centurion turned around to see village chief and several more villagers behind him. Everyone was looking at him in shock and awe. "You killed the flame dragon." "Yes I did," answered Centurion, "although it was barely. If it wasn't for our Air Force and those girls, that dragon might cooked us for dinner." "You're welcome, man of the North Star," said Rory, as she, Tuka and Lele approached him. They were also surprised by what they just saw, except Rory, who was smiling. Centurion could sense interest and pleasure behind that smile. He wondered what could that feeling mean. "General," Michiru approached Centurion and saluted him, "if the beast is dead I will need all the troops you can spare. We have a lot of injured people." "Yes, Michi," answered Centurion, "organize men and have them proceed with the rescue of the villagers. And contact base for medevacs, we need to get them to hospital." Yes, sir, saluted Michiru, then turned and leaves. Are you gods? Albert asked Centurion. No, we're not, but right now we need your help. Centurion then grabbed village chieftain's left shoulder with his right arm. We need to organize and tend to everyone who is wounded in this attack. Organize men from your village as well from others, and I will organize mine. Yes, Commander, answered Albert and started giving orders to villagers who stood behind him. The children who were inside the Humvee exited the car and looked at Centurion, viewing him like he is some kind of ancient hero from the prophecy. Phew, what a day, said Williams with a chuckle, as he approached the dead creature. Pulling out his combat knife, the Marine proceeded to crave out a couple of the scales and place them in a bag. I know the lab rats at the base are gonna want to get a closer look at these. Indeed, replied Itami. I appreciate your endeavor for samples, gentlemen, said Centurion to them, but right now, I need you to assist our men in helping those civilians. Many of them got hurt badly or worse. So, as much as I love to pick some scales of my own, we've got other things to do. Yes, sir, saluted both Marine and JSDF trooper. Centurion searched for village chief and found him among the group of villager, debating something. Chief, talk to me. How bad you were hit? He asked, feeling little uncomfortable as he can see how desperate the chief is. 20 people died in today's attack, among them were 2 children. Almost third of our villagers are injured in one way or another, the others got hurt as well. But this would be a slaughter if not you and your men. General Prime, I thank you. Village chief bowed to Centurion, showing his respect. You do not need to thank me, we were merely doing our duty. Centurion looked around and saw many wounded villagers on the ground, assisted by either another villagers or ANF soldiers. So, what is your next move? We will salvage all we can and continue our march to Italica. But I fear that not many of us will be able to enter the city now. Why not? See around you, General, most of our belongings are in ruins. And we never had much money as we are simple farming community. To stay in Italica means to pay for the rent, and not many of us had that kind of money. But we will manage somehow. We are not as weak as we appear. Now that the threat of dragon is non-existent, we do not need you or your soldiers to escort us to the city. Mere words cannot express how thankful we are. I am sorry we are not able to return the favor in equal proportion. Centurion looked at the village chief, his old face showed the sign of great relief and happiness. Even if they were having nowhere to go and not many positions, these people were currently happy just to have survived the onslaught of the fire dragon. Centurion looked at the 3 girls standing near them and watching, curious to see how situation will resolve. What about your villages? You can now return to them, now that dragon is gone. We can, but the harvest season is over and most of our supplies were destroyed in the attack or left behind. Many of us would starve to death before the winter is over. The forest is also swarming with bandits. As weak as we are now, we would be easy prey for them. The walls of Italica are our only chance to be safe once again. Centurion focused for the moment to think what to do next. He took into account all the factors known to him and possible consequences depending on the actions taken after this event. He then came up to one conclusion from which he and everyone else will benefit the most. Chief, the old men turned around again, now facing Centurion. The rest of the villagers as well as 3 girls are all interested to see what happens next. Yes. After thinking for about an I wish to make a proposal to you and your people. Go on, Chief listened with great interest. Near our base on Alnus Hill we will build a small settlement. We can populate it with the people we currently planning to rescue from the Empire's slave towns. These people need some friendly environment and a chance to start a new life as a normal beings, not as just slaves. We also hoping to establish trade network with the nearby cities, specifically the Italica, so that way their rulers would see us as friends, not enemies. You and your people know the area and possibly have connections in more than one city nearby. Centurion put his right arm on Chief's right shoulder. So what do you say that you and your people come and live in that new settlement together with us? We can always expand it and build new homes for our soldiers and newcomers. And given how entire situation turned out, I doubt many would complain to not choose to help our refugees in need of protection. So what do you say? Albert needed few moments to calm himself down. Are you sure it's okay, General Prime? Of course, you have my word on that. Chief's eyes filled with tears as he hugged Centurion. Thank you very much, or people will forever be grateful to you." Centurion smiled and sighed. He thrown a quick look toward the three girls to see all three of them smiling as well. It's like they knew he will offer his assistance. The sun had now gone down in the east as both Third Recon and the villagers held a small service for the dead. In total, 20 villagers had been killed and numerous others were injured as a result of the attack. A mass grave had been dug out to bury the dead, while small prayers were said in both the native tongue, Japanese and English. Even Rory said a few words, wishing that the fallen had an easy voyage to the afterlife. All of the soldiers and the villagers were now mourning for the dead by praying to gods, so their souls could be accepted. Around them, there was withered white tulips and fireflies that made them represented as the fallen souls. The remaining loved ones, and friends of the deceased spent some moments grieving over their fallen friends and family as fireflies lit up the somber night sky, while the ANF soldiers just quietly paid their respects to the dead in their own unique ways at the front of the crowd. Atami looked behind him to see Gloria, who's lost her parents during attack, crying. He stepped towards her to help console her in her recent loss of both her parents. Atami has quickly reminded of a girl he helped in Ginza after the Empire's attack. Both her parents were killed in the assault by the Empire. Guess it doesn't matter which world you're on, grief and loss are still the same, he thought. A convoy from Ginza consisting of 6 Marine Corps Max Pro MRAPs, 1 HEMITT fuel tanker and 3 Isuzu Type 73 trucks, had arrived by this point, accompanied with 4 Michigan 17 medevac copters. Centurion went to organize his men. He jumped to the top of the Leopard and shouted for attention. "Troopers, as your commanding officer, I am very proud of you all. Today, we've achieved another impossible thing in this world. We've slain a powerful beast that no one has ever was capable of defeating it, and our skills and swiftness have made our people at home proud." The ANF soldiers cheered with joy. "Now we have another task at our hand. Major Armstrong." Armstrong stepped forward and saluted. "Organize the men and make room in the trucks, several of these people are going with us." "With us, General." "That's right, Major, these people have lost their homes and their belongings, so they cannot enter Italica, because they cannot pay for their living in the city. Therefore, they are now refugees, and in correspondence to United Nations laws we as members of that organization are bound to assist them. Put all the critically wounded in medevacs and have them fly to Fort Ginza immediately, the lightly wounded to sit in the trucks and the rest as you see fit." "Yes, sir." "All right, men, let us take care of these people like we would do of our own. For the eternal glory of the Allied Nations force and our counters, go and fulfill your assignments." "Yo Joe! Yo Joe!" cheered the ANF soldiers and started preparing villagers for transportation in their own trucks. "Good thing both of those trucks are filled with less than half their normal capacity, otherwise a lot of them would follow us on foot," said Atami. Beside him are both Kurakawa and Kuwahara, who just sent his men and decided to hear the rest of what his general has to say on the matter. "Good, make it happen. Kurakawa." Atami went to organize the men, while Kurakawa came next in line for giving opinion and reviving orders. There are not too many seriously injured, the 5 villagers who were lifted up to Mi-17s and sent to field hospital. The rest suffered some bruises and with the exception of one dislocated shoulder the rest are fine. In that case take as many kids as you can and put them in medical jeep. They will endure the travel back a lot easier. "Yes Lieutenant," she saluted and rushed toward her Toyota megacruiser. Only Kuwahara was left and Centurion also noticed the 3 girls approaching them. He had no doubt that they also had questions about all of this. "You have something to ask, Sergeant." "Major." "Yes, General. Are we really going to take these people as refugees?" "Of course, are you against it?" "Of course not, sir, but I am concerned about what will the politicals say about this. There are many outside the gate, who disapprove you as a commander of this expedition. This kind of action will only give them more ammunition to fire at you." Centurion then chuckled and patted Kuwahara on his right shoulder. "I know that, Sergeant." "Major," he said, "that is why I am putting my faith in United Nations, our superiors and ANF. This action will not only show us in brighter light but will also strengthen our position in the world, as well as continue the influx of much-needed investments into our organization. And I have no doubt that Momo-kun will make the best of that situation, making both the Diet and the Emperor happy." But your enemies will nevertheless use that fact to their advantage, sir. Tsurugi-san can only hold them for so long. I know that, Soichiro, but if I have to choose between helping those in need and facing the wrath of my enemies, I would go with the option that would leave my soul in peace. Kuwahara smiled to that answer. Very well, sir, if such is your wish, I will go and organize the men. We should be in our main base tomorrow morning. I'll radio General Hazama and tell him to be prepared for when we come. Good, Sergeant. Major, you may continue your task at hand. Yes, sir. Kuwahara saluted Centurion and went to organize his soldiers. I am sorry, Lord General, may I have word with you? Centurion turned and saw elderly men in yellow-like robes, big blue hat and staff similar to the one Lele was carrying. He also noticed Lele, Tuka and Rory standing behind him. Go ahead, and you can just call me Commander Prime. That's how everybody calls me. My apologies then, for that and for my young apprentice. Alexei looked at Lele and saw that she is a bit embarrassed. It must have something to do with an old man present here. And what did your young apprentice did that you must apologize to me? She hastily offered her services to you without any sort of counseling and without knowing that you would require someone like her or someone more knowledgeable. Someone like you perhaps. Who, me? The old man pointed to himself. I would never accept it as I am an old man and only interested in passing my knowledge to my chosen student and enjoying retirement. Working for an army or sage is a thing of a past for me. I see. Then you would have no arguments if I take Lele as my advisor for this world. The old man looked at Centurion. He was confused about his decision. I won't. If she can balance between my lessons and your studies, then it's fine. But are you sure you are all right with her? She is smart and dedicated, but there are a lot of scholars more knowledgeable than her. Centurion looked at Lele. He could see that she was impatiently waiting for his answer. I am okay with her. After all, who could refuse a person with such determination? I see. Old man smiled and offered his hand. My name is Kato L. Alston. I hope we will get along. Centurion took old man's hand and shaked it. Me too, Mr. Altenston. He threw a quick look to three girls and saw all of them happy. Blonde elf hugging Lele and Rory just looking at him and smiling. Centurion was glad that he made people happy. Here they can start anew and do things differently while not being judged because of their past or the system and ideology their country is founded upon. He decided that few wounded villagers drive in JSDF Toyota. Not surprising at all, three girls also decided to drive in the same truck the soldiers was in. Everyone pretty much started to see them as his daughters, but Centurion didn't mind. He decided to left time and destiny to do their thing and play along for now. It's time for us to go, said Centurion to Albert. Don't worry, we'll take good care of your people. So where will you be heading now? Some of them have family living in the larger cities in the region. I have a brother that lives in Elb, so I will be moving there. Again, we can't thank you enough, until we meet again. Then good luck, Albert. Goodbye, replied the villagers. Thank you for your help. Aren't those guys in green and sand are too nice? Don't they want something as compensation? Even one of them are crying and say goodbye to us. Well, they must be some nobles or lords, seeing as they helped us. They even fought with a flame dragon on equal dragons. Not even royal knights or fantastical creatures like elves or orcs can even do that. And with that, their survivors of three villages made their way up a nearby hill and towards Imperial territory. With the vehicles now fueled up and the refugees now loaded into the trucks, after they seated everyone, the trucks started driving back to the base. It was middle of night, but nobody was in a mood to sleep, still overcome by the events that happened a while ago. Then, several of the Autobots started to sing, with Centurion and others joined them. I used to be the kind of guy who'd let you look inside. I'd when I was crying. I had but a life to lose. Thought I had a lot to prove. In my life, there's no denying. Goodbye to all my yesterdays. Goodbye, so long, I'm on my way. I've had of cryin', bleedin', sweatin', dyin'. Hear me when I say, gonna live my life every day. I'm touch the sky, and I spread these wings and fly. I ain't here to play. I'm live my life every day. Strange, everybody's strange. Never be the same, makes you how the keeps turning. Life, how to live my life. Learning how to pick my fights. Take my while I'm burning. Goodbye to all rainy nights. Goodbye, so long, I'm moving on. I've had of cryin', bleedin', sweatin', dyin'. Hear me when I say, gonna live my life every day. I'm touch the sky, and I spread these wings and fly. I ain't here to play. I'm live my life every day. Hit the gas, take the wheel. I just made myself a deal. There ain't nothing gonna get in my way. Every day. Goodbye, so long, I'm on my way. I've had enough of cryin', bleedin', sweatin', dyin'. Hear me when I say, gonna live my life every day. I'm touch the sky, and I spread these wings and fly. I ain't here to play. I'm live my life every day. I'm gonna live my life every day. I gonna the sky. I spread wings and fly. I'm live my life every day. The villagers were surprised to hear the ANF soldiers sing. But they liked the song and got more relaxed listening to them signing. Soldiers in truck also joined and sang last two lines Centurion just recited. Centurion continued, this time his soldiers singing together with him. Centurion and his soldiers sang while villagers listened and enjoyed. Some of them started moving left and right, enjoying the tune of the song. They didn't understand a word of their language, but they still enjoyed the song. Some of them even fell asleep while listening to it. The rest enjoyed as Centurion and his soldiers singed, while they continued to move through the night. This is the end of part 6 of this What If. I hope you guys like it. Leave a comment down below and subscribe to the channel to see more amazing contents.